and they're locked and loaded, ready to go. So have fun, gentlemen. Where's the blazer?
Bum, bum,
Oh, it's like that. We didn't even get the intro on that one.
Greetings and salutations, beautiful people. Welcome to the Midday Show.
What's up?
That right there is your boy Joey Options. And I'm Sharif. Where's the stream at, Joseph? We're gonna have to load up the stream over here to see where everybody's weaseling in from the other stream. There we go. All right, let's bring it in. Let's shout out to the OGs that are there already. Pillsbury, Parabolic. We got Helmes, Cool, Mr. Coolman, 6'5", something or another. Mr. Easy Street. We got Yashua, Anish, Ayo, Adam. Okay, I like that one. Jeremy Crypto. We got Jake Seth, Philip Olivier Dupuis, Eric Burkhurst and Travman, Kenny Koo, Kevin Sta, Michael DCA. He's dollar cost averaging every time you look at him. Shout out to Michael. Bristol, Adrian Diaz. Who else we got? We got Moshe Palmer, Mr. John TV, ATX Trader. Shout out to Houston. Danielle Stanley, Mr. Briggs, not Mr. Biggs, Malcolm Aldridge, James Price, and Mike DeRider, one of the OGs there. My man OG, make Bonnie Blue great again. I don't know what that is. I don't know even what that is, but we'll keep going on. Obi's chuckling. He's chuckling. I'm guessing there is something funny there. I'll find out later. Right. Mr. Out of the Box and Dollar Bill. We got Derek OK State Blakely. Shout out to Holly as well. Through the ages. Who's this? Sudhir Babu. All right, cool, man. K-Dub. Dan Gale. We got Scalping. We got Cute Me. Otter Matic. One more. Renato Castillo. Shout out to everybody. Thank you for joining us on this Monday. It's a great day to join us today. A lot to talk about, a lot of movements in these markets, mostly downside, but looks like it's recovering a little bit here, Joseph.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a rough start this morning. I mean, we had a pretty good week last week. This morning, nothing's really getting going. And I was just looking at this IBIT chart here, guys, and I'm like, man, like what I don't even know. It doesn't even show me the price being printed on one of my charts, and then on the other one, it's just like, okay, yeah, you got stopped out, which doesn't make any sense. So we'll compare it right here. So you're going to see on IBIT, we tried some NVDA as well, too. But look at this. So I have a stop at 53.20s just below the range, and then the low here is 53.24. I come back and I'm like, but what? I don't even see it being printed right here. It prints on this. Just literally, that is the definition of a stop hunt right there. It's not even displayed on one chart. It's displayed on another one, and then it just goes without me. And I'm like, I'm not chasing it all the way out here. I don't know what kind of nonsense that is, but yeah, it is absolutely. So yeah, I mean, 0 for 4 on the start of the day. That's nothing to worry about, though, because you know how we do, guys. We get 1 or 2 solid trades, and then we're right back into the game. But unfortunately, that was a missed opportunity right there. And I mean, I'm getting the moves, but I'm just honestly not taking any profits because I'm like, okay, I want that extension. So you can see that we got aggressive here on the SQs, looking for that breakdown in the market. Entry, add, and then we get that move. I was looking for the pre-market lows, so this would be, this would be the pre-market high here in SQ's pre-market lows in the actual index. But I mean, we didn't get that, and then we come out and then I get stopped out break even. So that, or not break even, it's stopped out for a loss there on that one. So that was IBIT, SQs, and then NVDA. We took one stab this morning. You can see that we entered it, add to the position for that continuation to the top side, and then eventually we just get stopped out. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. We'll be patient. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of opportunities. I'm long some Google right now. It's looking like it potentially can break up, and I want to take advantage of that if the ball really starts to get moving on this name. I was thinking about it over the weekend, doing some TA. I'm like, all right, let's see if we can get involved and push through some of these key resistance levels. But let's take a look at the chain on it to see if we have any overhead at 165 exactly. And that can tell us a little bit more. So 164, ooh, okay, yeah.
Oh, you like
yeah.
I like
so at 167 halves there, guys, 26,000 current open contracts. So that's definitely coming into play. You can see that we can't even crack 165 and a quarter and starting to pull back in here. So we'll have to wait if we can punch through that. There is a large supply zone there.
All right, we got some small cap gappers making moves here, guys. There's a couple that are in the current, they're actually breaking out as we speak. Let's talk about them. GPU dang S. There's no dang, so don't type that in there. But it's a fantastic look nonetheless. GPUS is the ticker, guys. This one was running in the pre-market and it's continuing to run after the bell. Look at this beautiful definable pre-market high. We get into that 475, 450 the closing prints, 475 the wicks. It didn't matter, because that pre-market high is a distant dream at the moment. We're above $2 higher than that pre-market high. If you took 475 as the pre-market high, we just double topped at 682. This one really got going awfully respectful, as you often hear me say, of the 10 exponential moving average on the 5, which again, if you're a newer viewer, will always be that solid green line on my black charts. Even the white ones, just harder to see on the white ones, but beautiful look there. Anything off that 550, I'm looking for a 10 EMA pullback on the 5. We'll see if we get that. We're not going to go in order today. We're going to go in order of what's breaking out. The other one, IMMP, another very respectful higher low flat top breakout. Here, let me make my case. Look at this area here right after the bell that we kind of held at $2. So that's an area low. We defended too. Fantastic. Look over here. We come back in. We defend 205. Another higher low. Then look at this. We defend that 210, 213. Another higher low. All the while, that $2.20 area was that flat top from which we, boom, broke out to the high side. So we take out 220 like it's a joke, and now we're at the current high, $2.35. Obviously, we're not talking about a huge notional move, but that doesn't stop you from sizing into this, especially with the amount of volume that IMMP has done on the day, which is about 2.5 million shares. Not that much, obviously, but you should be able to size in substantially here and get filled without really encountering too many problems. So IMMP, GPUS, a beautiful look for both. But there's others, though. There's others. So let's talk about our friend Zedcar. Zedcar was one that we talked about, I believe, on Thursday. Look at that big boy move on Thursday. We did Bupkis on Friday. In fact, we made lower lows and lower highs. But ZCAR, another higher high, higher low, kind of stair-stepping up as the volume increases. And you love to see this with the small cap gappers, that they didn't have their highest volume, their best move in the pre-market. They continue to trade after the bell. I'll submit to you this one had its best volume profile around 1030 or so, but it is technically below that volume weighted average price. So I have to pack my patience before it's tradable under my system. Again, if you're a newer viewer, two simple rules for these small cap gappers: above the pre-market high, above the volume weighted average price. You check those two boxes, we'll have a discussion immediately. This one is trading currently below that 1103, 11, where that volume weighted average price is. A bit of a deeper pullback on ZCAR from 1270. Sorry, guys, I say Z the Canadian way. CAR from 1270 all the way down there. It looks like it held 10.5 like a glove. It does look like it is a bit of a spreadier trade for Adara. On cue, Adara. I love it. I know it was coming. I know it was coming. It doesn't bother me in the least. I will, thank you. ZCAR trying to work back above that volume weighted average price. We'll pack our patience. I'm all eyes and ears for this trade. ZCAR looks fantastic. OMEX. Joseph, you're telling me nobody was selling up here? Like, look at that. It looks like a flat wall. It looks like somebody punched it in the face in the way that Ryan Garcia didn't punch Rolly in the face on Friday. You know I'm going to get into that immediately.
Yeah, we get
What a pathetic fight.
Yeah,
but
no wonder it was free.
I'm hoping for the best for Ryan. Obviously, we know, again, what I told you off camera, tough for 2024. Some people take that turn and they never come back from it. So God bless him. I hope he does well, and he continues.
As long as you have good financial advisors, you can go through a lot of ish, I guess, at that stage in your life and come out on the positive end, right? You don't want
finance is one thing, but he was taking a turn with other things.
Oh,
you know
other
that.
things.
You
yeah,
know
I mean,
that.
it's the turbulence of life, though. You know what I mean? We know how his age is, like the popularity, like Gymshark, just hanging around the wrong people, right? But
money gives you options, too, sometimes not good options.
Yeah, exactly, right?
You know
so I mean, I think he'll turn the corner.
God, I hope so.
I think with age and stuff like that, so I think his bank account is most definitely set up, and then once he kind of gets everything together, I think he'll
Yeah, and we got to remember, he's still in his 20s, mid-20s, that is, so he's a young guy,
right? You think about what you were doing at that age.
A moron. An absolute moron. I was in school, but I was still a moron, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, OMEX, back to this one. Andre, thank you. OMEX, another good one here, respectful of the volume weighted average price, stair-stepping up, 125 high again, not a substantial mover, but one that seems a bit predictable. One more here before I send it back to Joseph. IMMP. So another, I already mentioned this one, excuse me. So this one was breaking out. CRML. This one is not, again, not a big mover on the day. We're talking about 11 1/3, but you're getting that higher low, higher high. My only concern with CRML is that its volume profile here is criminal. It's making down lower lows and lower highs on this one. It is kind of losing the volume there, so I want to see some more volume come into this one. ADPT is a holdover from Friday. I just didn't find anything to replace it. IVF, I had this one up earlier. It's losing the volume weighted average price. In addition to that, it has a very high pre-market high there at 308 that it's going to have to clear before I can get involved in this one. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to throw an alert there at 303 or whatever, just so have advanced notice of when the stock gets closer to that pre-market high so we can get involved with this name. So I'm likely going to load up 3 different stocks on my trading screens now. Zcar, it just worked its way back above VWAP. Look at that thing go, bro. It's $1 higher from when I talked about it. GPUS and IMMP likely will have their own trading screens, as those are the ones that are doing well right now, Joseph.
Yeah, good luck there. So yeah, we're just sitting in some Google. We're waiting. We had that kind of that bull flag type pattern forming here on the 5-minute, and I was looking for the break of the key resistance zones. But I mentioned there is some overhead resistance. So again, the path of least a lot of resistance going on here is it looks like it seems to be to the downside for Google. I mean, we're starting to get a little bit of a pump here in NVDA. That one worked out well. So relatively flat on the session. I got IBIT up twice here for some reason. Microsoft was relatively strong as well. Yeah, I put in a new high a day. That volume most definitely stepped in right when we cracked that previous high a day. So a nice pivot there. And you can see the market just slowly starting to climb higher. The Qs are choppy. Not the best type of price action here, but I mean, here you can see that we cracked this, and then now we're starting to come back in. I was short off of this signal, and then we got that move, and then eventually we just squeezed back to the top side, so I just got out of the trade and was like, AC Slater, I'm gonna get out of this one. Because I don't want to be on the wrong side of the trade. And I see a lot of people in the chat saying, yeah, IBIT's chopping me up, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, it's a choppy day. I had that feeling coming into this morning. I know that just when you have that kind of that gut feeling, it's like, all right, take it easy. Don't go crazy or anything along those lines, because we had a solid week, a nice rebound week last week. A lot of these names gaining a lot of ground, and that's something positive. So it's more of a breath here today. So going to be patient. I'm still in Google. I'll stay in this trade until it breaks VWAP, and then I'll just get out of it. But gotta be patient, right? Because we still have risk measures that we need to implement, and we don't want to ruin absolutely everything. So just being really cautious, starting small, and then once things start to work out for us, we'll continue to build into size, because that's just essentially what we do. But with the likes of Microsoft and some of these other big names coming in, you can see this push and pull that we have in the market, with NVDA climbing higher, Microsoft moving lower, Meta still hovering around those higher days, and then we have the likes of Google that was forming this bullish pattern, and then it's essentially failed it. We looked at the open interest here on the overall, on Google, and then you can see at 167 halves is where we have the highest amount of open contracts. So that's where that overhead is coming into play. And again, IBIT really, really choppy. It put in a weak weekend. It wasn't strong, sir, I should say, but that's fine, right? Like I was like, okay, I expect that, especially after the move we just went on. I'll pull up Bitcoin itself just so we can take a look at it. We were forming that ABCD pattern that I was looking at, and then eventually we just came back in, and that's what I was looking at for here. So right, so if we were to go A, B, C, and then kind of we break that high in D and around these necks of the woods. But I do believe that we're going to come back, retest about that 89, low 9, even lower 90s roughly, and then hopefully we can continue that trend, because I did get filled on some contracts. So I told you guys I'm swinging some shares, and then I got filled on some contracts on the bottom of the range. So we are quite heavy, and we would like this to continue to appreciate. Now I want to note, so one thing again, you guys see me average into my trades, but that means the trade has to be working for me, and then that's also going to tighten up the risk profile. So essentially what's happened here, guys, and I'll just break down my thesis. So I started grabbing some shares in the swing account right around here on Bitcoin via IBIT. And then what happened was, once I'm considerably in the money, I now allocated some contracts, but it's the exact same thing as free rolling, right? So now I'm just using my unrealized gains to grab more size in IBIT, but what does that do? Now I'm just risking my unrealized, and if it breaks down, then I have to get out of the trade and reassess the situation. Now I have a lot of buffer room here. As you can see, I'm in and around these neck of the woods, but now I'm just kind of using those unrealized, taking advantage of it, and just trying to make that position as large as I possibly can, so we can, and I think it's like November expiration cycle, so we have a lot of time on the contracts, but I'm looking for that break of the all-time high, and that's exactly why I'm sized in heavy, because I do believe that this is going to be the move this time around for us to go in that neck of the woods there, Sharif.
All right, we're doing it live here. All right, that's the first doing it live of the week. On GPUS, we're long 31s. I just took out 65s. Now I'm waiting at 74s. Your friend Goopus is on the way up over here. Great look. It's up big, guys, already, so be careful. 382%. It's zigging. It's zagging. It's still not at the high of the day. That's still at 82, so we're still about 20 pennies south. And as you can see on your screen, I still have my beak wetter, my profit taker. That is, of course, at 74, still gone unfilled. Here comes 70. We reject 70. Quick as you like. Still south of that 82. Great look here for GPUS. And I had a couple of dip trades that just kind of gave me an unflattering gesture and said, well, we're not getting filled quite yet. I've got something down over here at 611s. I don't think that it's valid now that we've kind of had this pattern with higher lows, because basically since that red candle that manifested at 11:05 on the 5-minute chart, we've been putting in higher lows. In fact, all the candles, it doesn't even matter, even the pullback candles that were red on the 5-minute chart at 11:05 and 11:10 have higher lows. So I think that waiting for a 6 and 11 pullback doesn't make sense here. What makes sense is possibly off that $6 area or 5 high 80s. Boom! Joseph Wilson, we take out the top like it doesn't even matter. Fabian's here. Fabian, welcome, brother. I thought it was the Assassino, but Assassino went to the bathroom there. Hey, we're happy you're back, brother. Fabian in the house of Chilean Nightmare, obviously, as you will know him on the show. So we're all done our shares on this one. And again, as I said, I think this is not a valid dip trade right now. Ugly topping tail candle, Joseph, into 698, right back down into 652. But we still haven't closed this candle, guys. We still got 2 minutes until this current 5-minute candle on GPUS is closed. So good look so far. We'll look to do a little bit better. I'm going to set up a dip trade now at that $6 area. All right, it's going to be for half the size that I took, but we're going to go ahead and wait at 605. Now, this is a bit of a deeper retracement, so I do get concerned when I try to take these, these pullbacks, because sometimes it's like catching a fallen knife, right? So that's the look. We'll start 1 for 1 so far, GPUS. I don't even think I started 1 for 1 last week once. That is, I think I started 0 for 1 every day, at least 0 for 2. So it's nice to start that way. All right, guys, now I'm looking at ZCAR. So I get this one has many topping tail candles that breach 12, many. I get all of that. But have a look at the 5-minute chart. Tell me how many of those candles actually closed above 12. I'll wait. I think maybe like one of them, the one that at 1045. That one closed, no, it closed at 1206. Every other one was south of 12. So the point here to tell you about ZCAR is I feel this is a flat top break waiting to happen, okay? Now, it's not going to be a wick flat top break. So what I'm trying to do here on ZCAR is I want to pick it up towards the low end of the range, that higher low. So let me make my case for you guys over here super quick so you guys can follow along with my thinking, even if it is wrong. So what I see here on ZCAR is a ascending wedge. Higher low, higher low. All the while, that 12 has been a hard area to break. Again, as I've mentioned, we've wicked above 12 many times. So my thinking here on Zcar, set up something towards that volume weighted average price. If you have to front run VWAP by a couple of shekels, all right, fine. Maybe you can dollar cost average a little bit below. The point is here to catch that higher low for that eventual $12 break on a closing basis, and then maybe we can ride into 15, 14, who the hell knows? What's Zcar up today? It's up only 49%. I mean, we haven't even talked about triple-digit territory yet on Zcar. Oh my God, GPUS is taking out high, so that dip trade means nothing right now. $7 on GPUS. Sorry to go back and forth. There it goes, Joseph, 7.15 now, the high of the day on GPUS. This one is on one, ladies and gentlemen, and that dip trade that I have at 605 means bupkis to me now, so we'll take that one off. Here's what I'm doing, though, to flip back, to ZCAR. I'm setting up a dip trade here at 1107. Actually, I'm going to put it a little bit higher than that. I'm going to set up on 1111, okay? And I'm setting up a dip trade there. My thinking by setting up a dip trade, again, as I've mentioned, is to try to catch a higher low on Zcar for that move above 12. That's my objective with ZCAR. We'll see if it allows me to do it or not. We're going to have to go to Adair at the big desk, though.
Just be aware here, this is the NASDAQ making day's highs. You have comments coming through here from Scott Bessent, who is the U.S. Treasury Secretary. Just kind of a quick summary, nothing super market looping here, but I think it is worth noting, as we know, Bessent emphasizing that China is, quote, the biggest piece of Trump's trade puzzle. So that is really the player they're trying to target here, above all with negotiations. He also is mentioning here that security values and ties with partners are going to remain, regardless of what's happening here with tariffs and trade. So if there's anything else of interest, I'll let you know. But here is the NASDAQ as we do digest. Continuing comments from Scott Bessent. Back to you.
Thank you for that, Adara. Yeah, guys, let's see. We're getting a little bit of a bounce here in Google, so we'll be patient on this front. I do like this bull flag pattern. I think it's just going to take some time. If we crack VWAP, then I'm just going to have to hop out of this trade there. But we got a $5 super chat from my guy, Nick. Hey, hope you guys had a great weekend. Loving the swing setup on Uber. Loading every dip. Sharif, thoughts on NITO?
Oh, NITO, huh?
Yeah, we can take a look at that for you there on NITO to see what exchange this is. NITO, I know this is Sharif's Worlds, but we'll take a gander at some of these smaller. Oh, okay, around 60 cents here, or sorry, 54 cents. Not too bad. I mean, nice breakout here on the daily. You can see that volume really start to pick up as we run through some key resistance zones here with that 30-cent level and 40-cent level, and then it's kind of a genuine move here. We would like to classify this because we have the volume profile absolutely supporting this breakout. So that's something that we want to keep an eye out on. NITO up about 90% here on the day. So a good look. Maybe I'll keep my eyes on this one. I don't usually trade this small these small capped stocks, but I mean, if the price action looks good, then why not? I like the fact that NVDA and some of these other big names are starting to climb higher. That's going to be a positive sign. If we can get Google to start to participate, that's going to be even better because we're still consolidating, moving eastward in this little consolidation phase here, guys. So we'll be patient. Hopefully the buyers will step in and then we can break through this and break through some of these key resistance zones. I mean, 67.50 is all the way up there, and I referred to it earlier. That is the highest levels of open interest. But as soon as we crack the volume weighted average price and hold it to the downside, then I'm going to have to get out of this trade. So 50 cents, not too bad. Yeah, I mean, it's not horrible, right? Like, if the setup is there, I'll most definitely trade it. I do like that we were trading above the volume weighted average price for some time, and then you kind of just get that bounce through, and then you're back above it. So maybe it can punch through there again. So be patient, wait for those setups. I went over my trades earlier today as well. I like to see the thing. I wish I took a little bit better of advantage. I should have. But I was just kind of looking for a bigger move here. But this trade really worked out for us. And you can see I just got slightly greedy on this front. So I told you guys before, I can't allow a trade kind of to go to a 2-to-1 and then come take a full stop on it. I should have got out earlier, but I mean, if we hold these lows, there might be another opportunity because the short signal was there. It displayed itself. So a lot of faking out here throughout the day, but we'll be patient. Should have took it off here, should have, could have, would have, and then we would have got that break-even stop out. But that was not too bad of a setup there. And then Google still kind of slightly disappointing. No continuation to the long side. Looks like it wants to crack lower and break through the volume weighted average price, as you can see. But one thing that we'll note is that the volume by time profile, that pullback volume is starting to dwindle. The thing about the market is like, okay, yeah, your thesis could be correct, but timing is very, very important. And with more experience, you'll understand how that's why, like me, I classify myself as a sniper. Personally, I like to find those precision entries because timing is very key, especially with my style of trading, Sharif.
All right, we're doing it live here on GPUS. Guys, got in again at 750, wet the beak all the way up to 792. So this one is continuing to give. It was on an aggressive breakout. And as I've mentioned before, my observations with these ones, when they're on an aggressive parabolic breakout, is to get them in on the micro pullbacks. That means, for example, when it blew past $7, worked its way up to $8. It didn't do that in a straight line, guys. It showed you tape teleportation, meaning that the time and sales started moving aggressively. That's kind of your hint that the breakout is on. Now, what's the move? Is to wait for a 10, 15, 20, 30-cent pullback off the high, but to see the continued tape and then to see a little bit of slowdown in the selling. Oh, all of a sudden, somebody's picking it up at $7.50. It's not losing the bid anymore at around 7.5. You've got to be super quick with your observations when you're doing that because it doesn't hang out at that 7.5 for all that long. That's when you've got to get in. That's the micro pullback, and that's exactly what it did there, and it shot right back up into 8. So I don't have top wick on any of my trades, but I feel that that's kind of a harder thing to shoot for. Just being profitable on them is hard enough. So GPUS is the gift that keeps on giving. Now, someone was, I think, quite facetiously asking in the chat by the name of Brisso, how do you guys even find this cheap garbage? Well, derogatory point aside there, this cheap garbage makes tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars for small cap traders every day, okay? So I wouldn't necessarily classify it as that. Now, that's number one. Number two, how I find them, to answer your question, is a stock scanner. The stock scanner helps you set the parameters that you want. For example, you say to it, okay, look, I only want stocks that are under $250 million market cap, and they have to be doing at least 3 million shares on the day, and ideally, they should be within $1 to $10. You enter the parameters that you want. And I've got a stock scanner on the top screen over here that you can't see, obviously. And that's how I find these bad boys. Now, sometimes you already have preset stock screeners, ones that are specifically made for these small cap gappers. And so you don't need to be, fiddling around with the parameters are already set for you. So to answer your question in a very basic way, stock scanners. That's how I use these, and they show me the biggest gappers on the day. And it also makes a difference what columns you want to include, data points. You want to know what the short float is. You want to know what the float is. You want to know what the relative volume, what's the average volume, what was the 52-week high and the 52-week low. Is it easy to short? Is it not easy to short? So as you get more nuanced with it, you're going to want more data points on your stock screener or stock scanner. But to answer your question, just as from a very basic way, that's kind of how I do it there. Now, I'm also involved in another trade right now. I've weaseled my way into IMMP. I already told you guys this one is a bit of a slower mover, and it's not giving you that much in the way of notional. So to make some good money on this, you're going to have to size in. All right. Now, good news is it's a couple of bucks, right? So if you have a decent account, I don't know what decent means to different people, but yeah, you can probably size into this. Most people can size at least 100 shares, if not more, on this. So IMMP, I'm involved in this one. I'm still waiting for any sort of dip trade here on Zcar. That dip trade at 11.11 has been giving me a gesture, a non-kind gesture. But the point is, it's been holding up at around 11.5, 11.25. And it's been doing that now for, I want to say, since it cleared that level at around 11.10. What time is it? 11:30. So it's not a bad look. It's kind of putting in yet another area consolidation range, most notably above the volume weighted average price. So I'm going to leave that 11.11 there because it does front run VWAP. And to me, it makes sense. But I may chase this into the 40s just to get an entry position in case the flat top break above 12 comes before my 11.11 dip gets filled. So that's my thinking right now on Zcar. Go IMMP. All right, we're taking more. We're doing it live up here. There it is, baby. IMMP, putting in those higher highs and higher lows. We're still below the what's it called? The high of the day, which is 243. How many shares do we have on this thing? Let's find out over here super quick. Let's send some more beak wetters here into the high 30s, and then we're gonna put another beak wetter above that high a day at 47s. So it's all predicated upon obviously that level triggering. So that's what I'm looking at right now. IMMP and GPUS. GPUS though in a bit of a 2-candle pullback, but we saw this story before with GPUS. Let me make my point over here. Excuse me. GPUS. So this is where I got in initially. So this 2-candle pullback that didn't even touch the 10, I waited for this candle to show me that it was unlikely to make a lower low. And the way that I knew it was unlikely because the candle was almost going to close. So once the candle was almost going to close, and it closes on every 5 minutes, right? So 11:30 it opens up. 11:35 it closes, not rocket science. So the fact that it was trading way above the lower end of the candle, I said, okay, that's going to be another candle with a higher low, punch long. And that's what I did. And that's what you're seeing right now on this candle. Does it mean it's going to hold the higher low? Of course not. That's what trading is. Trading is about your statistical probability to make money. It's about putting the odds in your favor. So look at this candle right now. It's still got a higher low, but how much time do we have left? We still have 4 minutes left on this candle. So how the hell do I know if it's going to close above the previous area low or not? Just for reference purpose, the previous area low, that 11:25 5-minute candle has a low of 693. So essentially 7. Okay, get it, Tisha. I see you there. Tisha's all over GPUS, watching all the dips. I see you, girl. Trust me, I've been watching there as well. I want that $7 dip. If it holds 7, fantastic. Look, but it might lose 7 here, Tisha. So be careful with that one. So that's it. That's what we're looking at right now. And yeah, that's the situation. Nick Dubb, great entry here on NITO. My man, Nick Dubb. Where is my NITO trade? I don't even have that on there, man. Oh, that's bubkiss for me. Let me take off that one and throw on NITO here, see what our friend Nick Dubb talking about. Okay, Nick, I got you. I don't know about this one, Nick. 905, that's pre-market, Nick. You know how I feel about that. That 72.5 penny, 73 penny has got to get cleared. Because look at that. That high is at 905, right? And so that's obviously before the bell rung at 9:30. So I like it, Nick. I'm going to throw an alert at 70 pennies just to let me know when it's working its way possibly into that high day. If it does, then we can have a discussion. Oh my goodness, IMMP is the gift that just, it doesn't stop giving. It's a kind one there, IMMP. So we just took out that level again at 40s. Now I'm waiting at 47. Now new high a day on IMMP, 244. I'm waiting at 47s. That'd be my last peak order there, Joseph. Let's see what we get.
Yeah, Google didn't work out for us there, guys. We got out of that at the break of the volume-weighted average price. And you can see now we're trading south of that. So good out. I mean, absolutely not a great start to this morning for me personally, but hey, that's what it is, right? Like tomorrow's obviously, I'm not writing today off. It's like, but yeah, we'll be patient. I mean, I like this SQ move here. If we can get it that back towards the volume weighted average price, you can see that we already added into this position here. And if we can crack through some of this resistance zones, then maybe we'll add a little bit more just to kind of get it a little, the position sizing heavier, and then we can kind of cut in to some of today's losses. So, I mean, it is what it is, right? Like, not every day you're going to finish green. We took some good stabs. We're looking for those larger moves, especially on SQs here. We were looking for that break of the volume-weighted average price, which we got, but then we were looking to go head in towards some pre-market zones, and we just didn't get there as the market started to rally and recover. So it is what it is. Google, see, one thing that I have to be cautious about is that now that a lot of these big names have slightly bottomed, I don't want, because like with Google here, and I'm just thinking aloud for you guys, but one thing to note is that we broke through VWAP here in Google, but we were trading above it for a long period of time. So I'm thinking, are we going to kind of get that elastic effect in the indicator where we bounce back? But I mean, with some big names starting to pull in here, then that's a positive sign that we're not going to get that move. But you can see we are forming that bull flag, and that's where I bought. Unfortunately, I did buy at the top of the range. We take a look at the options chain slightly too late, and then you can see that we have some overhead resistance. So, okay, so request $10 super chat. Request to pick the big brain of Sharif. You were spitting facts on Chinese yuan a couple of weeks ago. Have you any insights on Taiwan's dollar surging 10% in the past couple of days?
I do not. I have no idea why that is. And I got to tell you very frankly, my little spiel there on the yuan was something that I read that day. I don't typically follow Forex whatsoever. And I don't consider myself to even be intermediate in knowledge when it comes to Forex. I just got to tell you full disclosure. Okay, what I was spewing to you guys that day was that the yuan is not allowed to float naturally versus the US dollar. The US dollar obviously is a world reserve currency. So when you're pricing a currency, what is it relative to? Is it relative to the US dollar most of the time? And so what I was trying to say is there's an onshore price for the yuan and an offshore price. One of the only ones that I know does that. In addition to that, the People's Bank of China, much like many other countries, I'll give you an example, Egypt, my home country, does not allow their currency to float naturally. They prop it up using different methods, or down using different methods. Obviously, some countries want their currency a little bit lower to boost exports. Some that are not export driven don't mind having the buying power. So I just wanted to tell you, I don't have any information about the new Taiwanese dollar, but you know, maybe I can do some research for you. But thank you very much for the super chat. Very kind of you. $10, Sir Poopy Pants. I didn't mean to.
Yeah, no. That's what I read it out for. Appreciate so yeah. Okay, so we'll hop in a little bit more there, guys. You see, we just add for the crack of this move. And we're looking for VWAP as NVDA starts to pull back in. Google's not looking back. It's now cracked the volume weighted average price and heading to the south side. Apple is at the lows, so just be cautious of any form of bounce there. And then Microsoft as well, too, guys, still hovering at one of the really strong names. And I think that's what's really holding up this market here. Meta maybe too, because they got the bull flag pattern forming here on META. So we're just waiting for that pullback towards VWAP. If we can test that, crack it a little bit, then we're going to start to take some profits here on the SQs, because you see we're starting to get slightly aggressive. All right, so that's kind of the name of the game, and I will continue to get aggressive, especially if we come into these areas and then we crack, and it looks like that momentum to the downside is going to continue. But let's go. We're starting to cook up here a little bit here. In the SQs is exactly what we need. A slow grind. I'm not going to take anything off, so I'm going to diamond hands these. No fighting. We can't even reference any of the boxers about the diamond hands over the weekend.
There was zero, Joseph.
There was zero diamond hands.
They had pillow hands.
With the exception of Teofimo, maybe, but yeah, I told you, I always thought he was one of the better ones out of the better ones out of the division. Yeah.
My man looked jacked. He looked fast.
He was going through. Who did he lose?
Fighting out of the shell too.
Who did he lose his belt to?
He lost. He lost after
to the Australian kid.
They mentioned it in the fight.
Yeah.
I'm just forgetting.
It's not his name's not ringing a bell, but he was all right. But then he eventually lost him as well too.
He beat Lomachenko.
He beat
so
Loma,
that was a big deal.
Loma won that fight, in that opinion.
Oh yeah?
Yeah,
I didn't actually see it. Yeah, fair.
So Loma's issue is that he takes like 6 rounds for his reads, but then when he gets his reads, he looks really good. But he just gives up too many early rounds, waiting for those reads and to see what you're going to do, how you react and everything. But then when he really starts to get moving, that's when he can start picking you apart. He comes across with like his side pivot and everything along those lines, right?
A lot of good fighters do that. Like Mayweather would take time right?
But he just gives them up too cleanly, where it's just like, all right, that's not good. But yeah, Kambosos, thank you. Yeah, Kambosos, that's who he lost to. But then Kambosos went on a horrible run after that, but he won the thing. Ben Eubank last week was a classic. Yeah, exactly. I got to watch that fight because I like both those guys. Actually, Selena's one of her best friend is Boxer, who runs the he's promoted. He runs Chris Eubank, and a lot of good fighters on this thing. And he started 10 years ago. He's my age as well too. Now just absolutely blowing up. So that's fantastic on that front. But yeah, back into these markets, guys. Let's go Qs. We're getting that move towards VWAP. This is exactly what we're looking for. You've seen us add once again. Once we get into 29.20s, then we're going to start to piece them off here, guys. Until then, we got to hold on to this position, looking for that consistent risk to reward ratio. If Amazon cracks, if Google continues to bleed, now heading towards the high of that 5-minute drive. And then now we have the likes of NVIDIA pulling in towards VWAP as well. If Microsoft breaks down, this is going to be even more, it's going to be even better for our trade here. And that's what we got to do. We just got to sit here, be patient. We're through some key levels and we're going to wait for 29.20 and then maybe even a little bit north of that here on the SQQs. So again, patience is really key. You can see how today is slightly choppy here in the market. A lot of ups, lots of downs. There is going to be some definitive trends. We've seen it in the likes of Google and Microsoft, but again, patience is the name of today's game street.
All right, guys, Zcar broke out through 13. I'm not long 1287. I'm done my trade on Zcar. The position board, guys, I think needs restarting. I'm looking at my blotter. I'm done my trade on Zcar. There it is. We took the breakout trade, wet the beak, added, wet the beak. So ZCAR is above that high. It's the 1320 high. I'll submit to you, I think we are now far enough past 12 to say that that 12 flat top break has come and gone. Couple of reasons. One, we cleared it by $1.20 because the high of the day is 1320. That's number one. Number two, we got a closing print above 13. In fact, the candle on the 5-minute chart at 11:35 ended up closing at 12:86. So there you go. It's not 12:06 anymore that it closed at. It's 12:36. It's continuing to go, guys. And if it wants to continue to go, we're going to go after it right now. We're going to wait for a micro pullback, as we've discussed. Let's see what the situation is. How much are we going to clear by? 13. So there's the pullback. Let's get in here. Let's see what do we got? 99s. All right. Let's wait up over here at 20s or so. What's the deal? Are we going to take anything down below that 1233? No, we're not. So we're going to put our low at 1233. Excuse me, and we're going to throw in that order there. So we got 99s now. We're 10 pennies out of the money. It's showing me 89s now on the level 2. So we'll see if we can get something over here, or this is going to be a topping tail candle. So we'll start decent today, but definitely out of the money right now, as this one is met with selling at 13. Into the 12 it goes. This doesn't look like a great candle. I got to tell you the truth. So the prior bar, the current candle low, 1250. I can do one of two things. I can look to get out on the current bar low, or I can place my stop at that $12 area. That'll be obviously risking $1. I don't know how I feel about that. Up we go to 13, so break even again right now on, what's it called, Zcar, but it's not clearing 13, so it's doing the same thing that it did with 12, which is interact with the whole dollar level, clear it, drop below it, and have trouble with it. So if that's going to be the nature of this beast, fine. We're break even currently on the trade. Definitely don't want to give too much back on this one. Already profitable on it, but I don't want to paper hand it either. What if it clears 13 with some aggression? So I'd rather give back a little bit and have the opportunity to clear that. So what's my area low right here? As I mentioned, 1248. I'm going to move up my stop into the 12 mid 40s. I had it previously there at 1233, so I'm going to give it less room, I believe, and then I have to take off the previous area stop. So we're going to cancel that one, and we'll let this one go. So back up into 75, still out of the money on this one, keeping my eye on it. Now I feel a little bit better now that the stop is in place. IMMP, doing nothing. We got that print at around 40. We're still waiting for that 47 print. It's not coming because this one is taking its sweet time. GPUS is at the 10 exponential. It's already lost 7. So what's the deal with this one? You know, let's see what it does at 6 on GPUS. I could be interested here at 6. Ultimately, though, the volume weighted average price is around that $5 area. If 6 doesn't hold, I'm a buyer of this one likely at 5. Back to Zcar. So now what's the observation here now that we've been watching the level 2 for a little bit of time? Well, we were rejecting 99s. Now it feels like we're rejecting 89. That is not good for me if that maintains. So this is what we call the bid creep or the ask creep. Adara calls it that. Essentially what that is you see one level rejecting over and over and over and over. You dip below it. Let's say 99s we're rejecting, right? You dip below it, you go back to 60. Then you pop up back into 99. You pop up a little bit. But this time you're not rejecting at 99s, you're rejecting at 89s. And you see the rejection over and over in the same way that you were seeing it at 99s. Get it, Adara? So that's what we're talking about there when we reject key areas. And it's incumbent upon you to keep your eye on the level 2 in order to make those assessments. Now, is that, you know, the end of the matter? We'll see. I've already moved up my stop. I'm comfortable with it. We'll see what we get here. We're current 5-minute candles, got 1 more minute left on it. Exactly how much time? We've got about 15 seconds. Excuse me, left on this current candle. It's showing me 90s. I'm long 99, so nothing doing over here. Packing my patience, Joseph. Let's see if this one wants to take back 13 or what the situation is going to be.
Meta. Oh, starting to. I want this market. We'll tap into the queue momentarily. Just you can see that we're starting to construct a lot of higher low. Okay, so yeah, strong opening drive, indecision print right here, guys. Now we're heading into that kind of consolidation phase slash bull flag here. Let's see if that's gonna crack, because I mentioned on Friday that a lot of these big names are heading around the same resistance zones. Price action prints look awfully familiar. Is my mic off? Everybody's saying mic. My mic is on. Okay, we're good now. All right, we're back. We're back. We're doing it live, and we're back. Okay, can you guys hear me? That is positive. Oh, you're. Dude.
Yeah, well, when you pump up the heat to 27 degrees, mister, I get cold everywhere I go.
Yeah, dude, and then you pump it to 22, so I'm like, I gotta turn it. It was cold.
I never touch it. I just put it down when you put it up.
So you touched it.
I didn't touch it.
It's cold. Very.
All right, well, you guys are, I'm sorry, you need a little bit more muscle, you two.
There's nothing to do with it.
Sorry.
This guy, more muscle, that's crazy, man. All right, anyways, let's see if we can get this breakdown. It doesn't seem like it's going to work here, as some of the big names are starting to climb higher, with the likes of Google going back towards VWAP and NVDA hovering above that as well. So Microsoft heading back towards that low of the day. So you don't want to be caught in a short. If we crack this low, I'm just going to get out of this trade because I don't want to be going against these big tech names. And that's one thing you have to watch out for, right? Is that if you're going to be trading the Qs, keep your eye on some of the bigger names. You have to see what they're doing, because if you're going against them, the chances are that your trade thesis is not going to work. I'm not saying that it isn't, but it's just not as much probability in your favor if you're going against the 7 largest names in the market. And you can see that Microsoft is deciding to put in an absolute monstrous strong day today, consistently forming higher lows. Sorry, lower highs. Higher lows is right. But yeah, here you can see that trend line. Until we break it to the downside, unfortunately, it's going to be a bullish day on this name. And so you got to be patient. I don't want to be going too much against Microsoft and NVDA, because if they start and continue to climb, putting in continuous new highs, then the probability is not in my favor there, Sharif.
All right, sorry, I'm still in a position. Just give me a little bit more time.
Absolutely. Remember, I mean, hey, so yeah, let's go. That's what we're aiming for. I told you guys this is exactly what we're looking for here. We're waiting for VWAP. We're not going to take anything off until we get to that specific target, and then we're going to look north of that on SQQs as well, too. If we don't get it, once we crack this low, thesis invalid, and then we're going to have to think about some other trade ideas.
All right, thanks for covering there, bro.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're doing it over here on, what's it called? Zcar. It's at the volume weighted average price. This is the area where I want to pick it up at. A long 74 is just wet the beak there at 15s, 12.15s. Let's see if we can get a little bit more over here at VWAP. It's kind of been respectful at VWAP, but this is where the area that I think that it makes the most sense. So let's set up some orders for a move back up and see what we can get on this one. I'm going to front run that that $12 area for a possible beak wetter there, layering the profit takers south of 12, but it comes into a predictable level of support. We'll see if it ends up holding at this level. So we got 62s on. It's showing me 66, just with the beak there in the mid 70s. What I'm doing now is I'm going to put prior bar low 11 1/3. So let's go ahead and wait around there, and then we're going to wait for a possible dip trade into that. How many shares do we have on, though? That's what we need to see. All right, so that's more than I'd like to put. So let's go ahead and take some out here like that, because I put way too many shares, more than I typically take there. So we'll see if this one wants to hold up. What do we got now? 61s, still showing me 74s. Not a bad look here. Let's set up some more orders to the high side. I'm going to put some at 90s if we can, to see if we can get some up there. OMEX continues to put in higher highs and higher lows, though. So I've completely missed out on that trade. IMMP still holding on to a piece, waiting for that 44s to come in, but alas, it has been a hard row to hoe on that one. All right, so there we go. Now back up into 86s, doing well on this one. Time to take some more profits on this bad boy as it zigs and zags at that level. But it's not really bouncing up. I don't want to take any more shares out here. Because then if I do take out too many shares and then it pops back up, I'm going to be quite annoyed. So let's let that one cook. OMEX is this one, guys. So this is the one that I was talking about, the higher lows, higher lows, higher lows with that flat top at that $1.24 or $1.25. It really looks like more like a $1.24 rejection with that wick coming into 125. This one is slow though, right? So that 5 million shares is kind of light for $1.25. Keep that in mind as well. So that we'll keep an eye out on that. And then Zcar continues to hang out at my level, 66 now showing, so I'm trying to pack my patience. Don't want to take out too much too quickly on this one. Looking for a move back up, Joe.
Yeah. So here we go, guys. I mean, talk about just choppy price action here in the Qs. We'll take a better look at this. So a lot of the candles are just overlapping, even though it does seem that we are slowly climbing higher. If you're that, you can turn it off, man. If it's that.
Just focus on what you're doing, bro. Don't worry what I'm doing.
Right,
I'm good.
Yeah, focus. All right. So anyways, so I mean, just you can see these overlapping candles, right? That's not the easiest price action to sit through. I think be patient just in case we do break down. I mean, to mention, we have this gap down as well, so we want to focus on that. Is the market going to completely fill this gap here today? We can see that we've already filled about half of it exactly. So, I mean, if we're going to continue to climb, once we breach this, then I'm going to put in the assumption that, hey, we're going to come into the lower end of this zone, and then maybe even into this consolidation phase right here. So, yeah, I'll be patient. See, and again, just like buyers really stepping in and kind of engulfing this. One thing I'll mention it one more time is that Apple's at the lows, and some of these other big names are just continuously climbing in. So this might not be the best trade. Looking for that short, especially with the Qs, we're just holding VWAP steadily throughout this whole session, and same with the likes of Microsoft and some of the other big names. But one thing I want to talk about is that hood. I know Neil and the boys were looking at it this morning. And I was thinking about trading it, but then I was just like, I found some potentially better setups, but obviously those didn't work. But yeah, from a 5-minute standpoint, a nice trend here. First 10 minutes of the drive were relatively weak, but then you get that bounce and you can just continuously climb higher and higher there. So yeah, looking at that, but wow, what a signal here to potentially bounce. And once I seen that, I was like, we were already at the volume weighted average price, so it was too late for me to participate. I didn't want to get in all the way up here just in case the pullback was deep, and then we came around those around this range, because that's going to vastly skew my risk to reward ratio on that front, and that's not what we want to do, especially when you have a rough start to the session. So we're going to be patient. As long as we don't construct a new high on the Qs, I'm going to sit in this trade. But again, if Microsoft puts in a new high and then we get Meta and Google really start to recover, then I'm going to have to get out of this trade.
All right, guys. NITO, I see you guys. You guys are yelling about it. I get it. It still didn't trigger my alert because it didn't breach 70, and we know that that level there is around 73 pennies, give or take. Sorry, I don't have the ticker in there. Just allow me a second to throw that on. NITO is a good one from Friday. Ran both during the regular trading hours and more aggressively in the aftermarket where there's no halt parameters. Did the same thing today. Ran in the pre-market where there's no volatility halt parameters, and that's why it was able to weasel up to 73 pennies. It's double topping here at 70. I'm very interested on this name, but it's just got to set up the right way. Let me throw that into the side chart over here. So now we've got the high of the day right now at 70. So I'm packing my patience until I get that alert. I'm not going to be taking anything out, but what I'm keeping my eye on right now is Zcar. It's just moving to the high side over here, and it's taking out some of my orders. So now we have 66s. It's got me 83s. And I've got way more share size than I typically take on this one. So we'll see if this one wants to hold up at the volume weighted average price. And obviously not just hold up, but boom, right into the top side there, taking out all my orders. Very profitable on it now. Let's go ahead and take some more out here as it zigs and zags above that $12 area. Very happy with this trade. Let's set up some more now. We're gonna do it even more. We're gonna set up at 29s, and now we're gonna set up at 50s. So that here we go. Let's do it. Let's do it live right now. We're gonna set up at 45s. Obviously, looking to front run that 50. Now we still got 61s on. So what's the deal? Am I gonna move up my stop into 61, or am I gonna keep my stop exactly where it is? I think this is one of those situations where I'm gonna keep it exactly where it is, and the reason is because my stop is based on VWAP, right? And the volume weighted average price is at basically 11 1/3. So I've already given it to below VWAP technically by giving it into that high 20s area. So this one's done 1, 2, 3, 4. Last time it was at VWAP. The last time, sorry, it was below VWAP was a green candle at 11.05, and the previous candle before that basically defended VWAP. It was like it closed a skosh below her. So to me, it kind of feels like the volume weighted average price here being respected. And now that we've de-risked on it and we're profitable on it, I'm very content holding on to this trade. So let's see if it wants to clear that $12 area between now and then. We're going to go to Adara and then find out what happens after that.
Here's the NASDAQ. Keep an eye on the queues. We have more comments coming through from U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, saying that the administration is, quote, very close to some deals on trade, maybe as early as this week. So Scott Bessent teasing out some trade deal related announcements potentially as early as this week. He also said that he's highly confident that 17 trading partners, not including China, have presented with very good trade proposals. So it sounds like they're approaching some form of deal or at least negotiations with 17 different countries, none of which are China, according to comments from U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Back to you.
Yes, thank you for that, Adara. All right, yeah, Scotty Bessent doing the best there. All right, guys, still holding on this Zcar trade. It's a 3-candle hold up now at the volume weighted average price. That's the good news. The bad news is it's really having trouble doing what it couldn't do before, which is close above 12. Now, I'll submit to you, it spent 3 candles above that $12 area. So this is coming as news to me that 12 is going to act in this way. But I still have on what I've got on, and I don't want to take it out here because if it ends up holding VWAP and then test 13, or even worse, test 14, because 1340, excuse me, is a high day, I'm going to feel awfully bad about myself. So I'm leaving my stop exactly where it is. It's going to have to go into the high 20s for me to get triggered out here, and I'm not moving my stop. I'm not moving my stop up. I'm leaving it with the volume weighted average price. We're profitable on it. If I have to give some back, I have to give some back. That's the nature of the beast. But ZCAR, very aggressive. It's a bit more expensive, though, of a small cap gapper. And it's also quite spready. Look at this, 79, 78 on the bid, 79 on the ask, 60 on the bid. It's a 19-penny spread on a name that's done almost 11 million shares. I still can't wrap my mind around that. I can't understand how something that's done so many shares on the day can still act so spready. I got to do more homework to understand how this exactly works. But yeah, we'll keep an eye out on this one. Let's see if it ends up breaking through the level. IMMP continuing to do well and hold a 10 exponential. But it's the trade on OMEX that I missed, guys. It's not the biggest mover. Again, as I've mentioned, it's a $1.26 high now, but does feel like that $1.24 or, $1.22, whatever it was, this area here, feels like a flat top break, right? And then you have that ascending wedge pattern where you kept putting in those umpteen amount of higher lows only to get that break decisively there. We'll see how decisive it ends up being. So that's what I'm keeping my eye on. ZCAR, the other one here, Joseph. We'll see if this one wants to continue to run or what its situation is.
Nice. All right. Yeah. So a lot of sideways price action here, especially in these bigger names, guys. You can see that we've been in this position for some time now. What time did we get in this, to be exact? So around 11:30. All right. So almost a half an hour, and we're not necessarily getting the moves that we want. But I think the longer, and I was just thinking to myself this morning, I was like, usually I find, and again, this is just my observation, the longer that it takes to find a specific direction, I think the probability of a breakdown is slightly more increased. Again, I could totally be wrong. But that's just something that, you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
So there you go. So I was just thinking that as well. But I mean, is it going to happen? Maybe there'll be some liquidity grabs in between, and then we can break down and then head towards those pre-market lows, because I think that's going to be one of the primary targets here on the Qs, right? If I'm holding this short position, this is what I'm going to want to aim for. Once we crack VWAP, I think that's going to be that next level specifically that we can possibly head to. And I mentioned there's high levels of open interest on Google and some of the big names. I haven't looked at NVDAs today. Because I posted the overall markets, right? I was looking at the overall market to see what it was telling us, and you can go check out on X because I posted that over there. But let's see what NVDA is, and I was referring to just kind of contracts being rolled over. And one thing I will note is that we were talking about it for a span of a couple weeks through 115, or sorry, from 112 to around 116. We had a lot of supply within that tight specific zone. And now what I'm seeing here on the options chain is that a lot of it through those lower teen numbers is starting to be lifted. And then now those contracts are kind of just being raised to higher strike prices. What can that potentially tell us? Yeah, that the whales, is there slightly more bullish sentiment. So before, when we had the highest levels of open interest was around 116, 117, and now we can see those contracts being lifted a couple strikes higher, and that's going to put around 78,500 open contracts at that 119 level, and then we have about 70,000 at 120. So you can see that we're slowly lifting that, and what that tells me is that there might be some more bullish price action to come in the future. What is open interest on Tesla put? Well, that's a very vague question because there's a lot of strike prices, but what we will look for is the highest level, and that's at 260 on the put side with 31,000 open contracts. We're going to see what Adara, and then we're going to go to NEO right after.
Here's the NASDAQ. This one, along with the rest of the market, gapped down this morning. We've actually a little bit of a rounded bottom, though, starting here pre-market, now trying to have a little bit of a breakout. But as you just had Joe mention there, it has been pretty range-bound and choppy, especially now that we're near these highs for the NASDAQ. Here's the S&P 500 looking basically identical, and the IWM looking a little bit more bullish here, potentially a bit of a bull flag formation for the IWM, whereas the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ look a little bit more uncertain. Comments coming through here from U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent saying that he believes there could be some progress in trade in China in the coming weeks. He also said they're actually near deals. They could be talking about some deals as early as this week when it comes to trade. Apparently about 17 countries, excluding China, are talking to the administration. Here's Google on watch here after Business Insider reported that Google is launching a film and TV production initiative. So GOOGL potentially moving into that film production space. Here is BRKB. This is actually bouncing quite nicely off of lows along with Netflix. Both Netflix and BRKB gap down for different reasons here, but BRKB on watch after CEO Warren Buffett announced that he's going to be stepping away from that role coming up soon here. So Berkshire Hathaway, nice bounce from the lows. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content. Without further ado, we're going to send you over to Neil and his lesson of the day. Take it away, Neil.
Welcome to Lesson of the Day, brought to you by the Chop Fest that is this market here. And look, we've seen it, there's different market environments. We've had a heck of a lot of volatility recently. The earnings season has led to some pretty good moves. But if you just look at the index today, we didn't really do much. You know, when I look at, I'm going to look at a 15-minute and show you guys the NASDAQ on a 15-minute. And when you even look at the more muted types of days, like you've had a couple of very slow grinding days here. Go back to the 29th where you move about $6. You go back in here to the 25th where you move essentially $8. It's not like that's not bad, but today we have half that range, only about $3. And it's felt every bit of that. A small move, a small inside day in the overall market. And what's interesting about it is you get something very distinct, typically, when you have this kind of a compression day. Because what it usually means is you're going to have this big push and pull in multiple directions, which can certainly help you to find some trades, because you don't get a day like this when we have volatility in the markets without some extremes. And today, the extreme, and it showed you right at the open, honest with you, everybody, was Tesla down, Apple down, and then you had Microsoft up, not great to the upside. Netflix was a strong move to the upside. That also caught it back here. So what you ended up with was a lot of distinct movers in either direction. You had some of the banking stocks actually hold up pretty well. But when you have that kind of a move, you have to quickly identify which stocks deserve to be in which bucket. Now, ultimately, for myself, Tesla was part of the plan of action short, and I don't think I did very well on Tesla today, despite it being a nice, quick little scalp trade, because the continuation was much more than I expected. When you had the big drop down and we saw the market wasn't doing anything, it's like, okay, well, Tesla's in the other bucket. And I would say the same thing. You could have been looking at one of the stronger names like a Netflix or maybe a Microsoft to buy some dips, or very, very early dips in the move to try to jump into something along with that trend. Because when you get a chop fest, you want to allow yourself to just flow with whichever way the river wants to take you on an individual basis, on an individual name. If you simply try to say to yourself, okay, well, you know, it's a small move in the market here and it's not going up or down, so that means nothing should be incredibly weak. I got to catch a bottom because the market's not breaking any lows. You'll find yourself in trouble in a weak name. You know, it's just easier to say, well, I don't know where the bottom's going to be on Tesla, so you might as well be looking for some type of a short trade. And I'll be the first person to admit it. Did it set up a second short? Well, part of the reason why I wanted to make Tesla the lesson of the day is I think based on what I'm talking about, I should have been in a second short. It bounced off my support level, did a nice little topping tail candle. There was a re-entry off the same 79 that we got out that I could have taken here on the 3-minute, and it's reasonable. And at that moment, the futures are still not doing anything. So as long as you're inside and the futures aren't breaking out the highs, they're doing the same thing they were before, which is nothing, then you should just look for those tight little continuation trades with a little bit of risk. Relatively, you don't have to give it all the way to VWAP in a situation like that, but just a little bit more aggression, because the market's not telling you anything that you don't need, that's going to scare you away from this, whatever the trend happens to be. The other thing that's worth looking for on a day like today, of course, can be anything that does reverse. And I'm looking at you, Robinhood, because when you do have a nice V shape and the market is inside like it is, it's not doing much, but it's trending higher, you're going to get like reversion trades on the things that are, I think, the most volatile. So Hood, nice bounce off the lows. I'm actually looking long now, even though I was in the short, which couldn't even get to VWAP. But something that's able to rinse out the bottoms and then go, to me, those are the ones that are going to stand out if the market starts taking out those tops. Why? Because it probably trapped some shorts earlier. When the market does this and does nothing, you didn't trap anybody short in the futures. You might have got some people short in a Tesla, but you certainly have trapped some people short in the things that were heavily flushing early and now trying to catch a bit of a bid and are above the volume weighted average price. So as we're breaking out the top, I want things that have room to run to the high, as opposed to trying to go long the high of the day. Now that's counterintuitive. You want to buy usually the strongest stocks, but in a range-bound market, I want the one that has a chance to go. Stick with the trend and a chance to go, as opposed to buying the top that has been in trouble the entirety of the day. So if you don't want to get chopped up, make sure that you identify something which is showing you extremes, that it's moving more than the overall market and you can join the trend, or find something which is giving you a wide range for a little bit of mean reversion back and forth while the market is doing nothing. And everything in between is a bit of a chop fest, which is fine if you have strategies for the chop fest, but I'd rather find those extreme movers where you can play these levels while the NASDAQ or the ES gives you nothing to work with. There is your lesson of the day. Be patient and find the movers. Even though the market can be flat or boring, there's always something which is an outsized move. I promise you that.
Thank you very much, Neil, for that. All right, guys, let's look at what's happening here on the small cap gappers that we were involved with. GPUS continues to range at $7. It did dip aggressively into that $6 area after making an 8 high. It's still got a lower high, and now it's having trouble with 7. Obviously, we had trouble with 8 because that was the high of the day. Now we're having trouble with 7, and this area is a lower high. So I did get involved in this one for a quick scalp for like a 10, 15 penny winner. Not really much to write home about. Got stopped out for the remaining amount. Couple of beak wetters and one we take a little bit of an L on, but it's still doing its dance right now with 7. So I want to see, does it clear it with any decision, with any decisiveness here? Zcar, the other one we were involved in, scalped up all the way into 12 and change, and then this one lost the bid quite aggressively, so ended up giving 20 pennies back on that last little amount there on ZCAR. But now I'm getting an alert that NITO just broke into that 70 penny area, 71 penny area, excuse me, and that brings it, I believe, or a penny or two away from that pre-market high. So that high that we put in at 905, 70, basically 72 and 4/5, okay? 72.88 technically. 72 pennies and 88s there for the high. Now that's the pre-market high, that is. Now we have an official high of the day of 71. I'm still a viewer, not a trader of this one until we can get above that pre-market high and stay above that pre-market high. Because I saw this whole song and dance before where we take out the pre-market high on a wick basis last week specifically, and then it ends up selling off quite aggressively. So I'm not going to be quick to jump into this one, knowing that if we do break that pre-market high at around 73, let's just say 73 pennies, that we typically will, unless there's a key area of resistance between there and $1, we typically will likely make a move into $1 before we reject. Now, it may not be in a straight line, as we know. So that's my thesis. That's my bias at the moment, that if we do take out that pre-market high, let's just say around 73 pennies on NITO, then there will be a little bit of a gap between the area resistance at 73 and that psychological area at $1. Let's go look at the 15 here, see if there's anything we need to worry about on the 15. Nothing there. Let's look at the daily super quick. We haven't been up at this level, excuse me, on the daily since I think late February when we did have a big move up into that $1. Lo and behold, look at this. We opened up that day at 56. We moved up to 99 pennies, and then we ended up closing below the open at 43. So this one does have a propensity when it has an outsized day like it did on February 26th to move into that $1 and then reject. So my bias, I feel maybe could be correct here. So we'll continue to wait until we get that pre-market high taken. I'm going to throw another alert because I don't want to take it quite yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw an alert a little bit higher because the previous one already triggered. And that's my look on this. So NITO, still very interested in trading this one, but it's got to get above the pre-market high. All right, before we throw back to Joseph, GPUS just took out 7. Again, so now it's an area high that got taken out. Do we now have another attempt here at 8? Or is this just going to be kind of a bull trap with a lower high and then send this one right back down to 6? So remember, the previous area high, exactly $8. And then we drop below the 10. We drop below the 20, in fact. We actually wick below the 20 all the way into 586, right at this candle over here. And now we're right back above $7 into 720. So I'm unsure exactly how to trade this one. I feel like this one may have some bamboozlement in the hopper for us here, just because it did wake up so aggressively to the downside. I don't know. I really don't have a good read on this one. I got to tell you the truth. GPUS is the one I'm talking about. It's up an eye-watering 424%. I mean, if I get in here, I'd have to give it to 7. Couple of other things to mention. 7, obviously, psychological support. The 10 EMA, though, takes you all the way down to 6 low 80s, right? 681, 682, something like that. So if you're going to give it to the 10 EMA, you're going to have to give it like 40 pennies risk here, Joseph. I don't know if that's too much for me at the moment, so I'm just going to stay clear.
Stay clear, yeah. I mean, if you don't see what you want to see, then just get out of it and don't even pay any mind. Yeah, so we're short. What's so funny, Damien? Sarza, why are you laughing?
You're laughing.
Why are you laughing? I didn't say anything just yet. But yeah, yeah,
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet. Yeah, exactly, not yet. So here we go. Let's see if we can get this move back towards VWAP. It looks like we want to break down here in Google. Just had to flip that bias. The cues aren't orderly. It's not my style of price action. So 2 attempts on that one. Adios, muchachos. But here you go. You can see we're getting this breakdown. This is exactly what we're looking for. And why did I decide to take a short here on Google?
Why?
Well, I'll explain it here briefly there, Sharif. Just off of this specific candle here, you can see it right above VWAP, a nice inverted hammer. We punched through. That signal tells me, okay, we're not going to stay above it for too much longer. You can play the crack of that open low there, and then sure enough, we're continuing to the downside. So there it is, short Google right now. We are now about to punch through the volume weighted average price. So just be cautious. I like what Neil was saying earlier as well too. Eastward price action, just be patient. One thing to note is that, okay, it's like now we can determine sell the highs, buy the lows, especially when the market is just moving eastbound, kind of like it is right now. And Meta did put in close to a new high day. Sorry, Microsoft was the one that did put in a high day. And that's one thing that I'll note, and I'll say it continuously throughout the session, is that you don't want to be fighting this name, especially after its previous earnings report. It just really just gapped up and then hasn't looked back since. So that's a positive sign. I mean, we were talking dead money on this name for an extended period of time, right? Like, so November of 23, I mean, you did climb up here, but then you just got a lot of consolidation and then indecision here, and then you get that breakdown. But then this gap up is absolutely insane here on MSFT. One thing we can note is that, okay, now we have a potential trade. Oh my days, I didn't even see this here. We have a gap that's currently being filled, if not filled already, here on Microsoft. So we just opened up right below that here. And then there you go. That can be a potential trade right there. So I'm going to continue to watch this one out. But then there's most definitely going to be another trade to the downside eventually on this one here. So I like that gap fill strategy. But let's see what Adair's up to, guys.
Keep an eye here on AAPL, sort of making some higher lows off of this low of day. I'm seeing here, according to Reuters, the company is going to be appealing the contempt ruling in its Epic Games case that came through last week. Basically, the company was accused of defying a 2021 injunction that was meant to open its app store to outside payment options. So again, Apple reportedly going to be appealing this ruling, as reported by Reuters. Back to you.
For that, I'm just thinking in my head, I'm like, okay, so some of these tech names, yeah, I get it, Microsoft's making a new high, but NVIDIA is chopping around, and so is Google right now. So I'm like, okay, what is really moving, and why are the Qs continuously climbing somewhat higher? And that's going to be, well, I'm not going to say that's the whole reason, but I looked at Netflix. Someone in the chat mentioned Netflix, Sharif. We're now trading above $1,100 on this name. So, yeah, 1,142 there. Excuse me, filling in this gap. And then my good friend CrowdStrike as well, too, just right around that high a day. So a really good look there on those two names, CrowdStrike and NFLX. Wow, CrowdStrike, what an absolute monstrous recovery here.
Recovery.
Yeah, monstrous recovery there, right around those all-time highs here, guys. So we're going to take a percentage metric to see how much we were down at one point. So 34%, and we climb right back up now, just probably a fraction of a percent off of that all-time high right there. So yeah, really good look on CrowdStrike. Traded a couple times with swing trade usually on this name, but yeah, it's a good stock there, Sharif.
All right, guys, I got involved in GPUS again. I got the dip trade at 680 off the 10 exponential moving average, and we wet the beak all the way up into 7.25. But here it is, taking out 7.25, and I've got another dip trade here at 7.25. It's at 7.5 right now. Got to 755, so I exhausted my shares. Now I'm looking to get back in to add. So I'm waiting at 725. It doesn't want to lose the bid at 40s though. So this one's really got a strong bid. I just don't want to chase it because I feel it's still rejecting that $0.50, but for how long? Here it is right back at the $0.50 and still unable to shake whatever seller or short seller is coming in at that psychological area of resistance. Feels like it's some profit taking around here. Just a strong move up, beautiful rounded shape, and right back close to that 7.5 again. Obviously still about 50 pennies, 60 pennies right now from the current high. So we can get in baby shares here, maybe around that 7.5, and look to dollar cost average into 7.25, or we can just get the entire, there it is, right back down to 7.33. So I'm going to try around here. There we go. So now we've got 36s on. Let's see if we can get something in the mid 40s, and then we'll layer some orders, obviously, into the high 40s there. I'm going to leave my 7 1/4 dip trade active to see if we can get something in and around there. So I'm waiting at 45s. There's the first fill. Can we get the second fill so far? Waiting at 49s, quick as you like. Not yet, not yet. So we'll continue to pack the patience here. GPUS, guys, great look for it today. Great strength to the high side, of course, as a long boom again to the high side. Now we're waiting at 69s. All right, so we don't have any more shares other than the one that we posted at 69 right now. We'll see if we can get something there. That dip trade, though, still not filled. 7 1/4, still eluding me. And there it is, nice into the 60s. Very happy with this one. GPUS is on one, guys. Keep your eye out on this one as it makes yet another attempt at $8. 7 2/3, 7 3/4, and I've got no shares on. There's a huge seller at 71 who just got decimated. He posted a big sell order there, but the buy order was exponentially larger, I'm willing to guess, just based on the vehemence with which it got taken out. Here we go, 7, I believe, mid-80s, high over here at 85. We're still south of $8. Fantastic look right now on GPUS. Let's see if this one continues to run to the high side. I like this one above $8 if it's able to clear it. Now, we know the high of the day is exactly $8. So this dip trade, I don't think is valid anymore because this is a very aggressive breakout trade right now. My dip trade was at that 7 1/4, which is kind of in no man's land. The real level that I'd like to pick it up at if it loses the bid is that 10 EMA. That's currently at around 716, 7 mid-teens. Again, keeping an eye out on this one. Let's see what it does. I wanted to tell you guys that it's not all sunshine and rainbows over here. Got stopped out of this second trade on IMMP. I tried to get in here at 26s for the hold of VWAP, and this ended up losing VWAP quite aggressively. So IMMP now, full disclosure, will go negative on that one, even though we had a good trade on this one. Ended up taking too many shares over here and didn't take anything out, and so held the entire position out for the stop. So bit of a tougher look there. The market giveth and the market taketh away. Back to GPUS. Here we go again with $8. 7 mid-90s. Wowzers. Look at that. It just blew through 8. 748 high a day right now. Do we use 8 as support? Oh my goodness gracious. It's not holding quite yet. Or is it? Let's see if we can get in a little bit over here. Take out some into the high teens. Boom. Boom again, Joseph. Let's see if we can hold 8. If we don't, we'll lose 8. I'll stop out, break even over here on this one. Keep your eye out on that $8 ugly topping tail candle. Let's flatten out over here, Joseph. What do you got?
Jameson, add PLTR to Mag 8. I mean, what is that thing doing, man? We'll take a look at Palantir. It was actually on my notes. You know what's funny? I don't know, Sharif. I keep, like, for the past couple of weeks, I'm like, Palantir, Palantir, Palantir. It's one of the stronger names. And ask me how many times I've traded it.
How many times?
0, roughly. So.
It's just $100 stock. I mean, well, you trade a lot of those. To be fair.
I mean, I don't know what it is. I'm just like, okay, this looks good, and just not focus on one of the stronger names, as Palantir is now just, I guess, moments away from that all-time high. Really, really good look here in this name. Moments away. We're not there just yet, my friend. There we go. I need a massage. I do, because I crushed shoulders this weekend.
Attaboy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 5-star service here. Right, and we got jerk chicken for lunch. I can't ask for more. Oh boy is right. We're cooking up. Like, I mean, we're less than a point away here, Katina, man, from that all-time high on Palantir. So you want to stick with those strong names. Like, look at this move it's been on. The same with Netflix. Like, come on, just split. I don't understand what the big deal is here. Just splits and gets more of us involved in this name, Sharif. Even a 2-to-1 I'll take, right? Cut that price in half or something. Because here you go. This is like some meta type price action that we seen late last year. Just continuous days to the top side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10 straight green days here on Netflix, an absolute monster. I don't know if there's anything new or good out on Netflix, but I think what was it? The new season of Black Mirror that came out. I think that was a pretty good one. Other than that, we got the box over the weekend, so bye Netflix and Prime. Yeah, we got that whatever box is called there, Sharif. So
I love it. IPTV.
Yeah, the IPTV. Yeah. So we're setting that one up there. So goodbye to all the streaming.
Don't say that loud.
Yeah, we don't want to say. Yeah, you just, whoa, they do the Dr. Evil. There you go. But yeah, we're still sitting in this. I mean, guys, let's get real here. We were talking about Bitcoin, and we're starting to climb. This is exactly what we want to see. I mean, we're still negative on the day, 3%, but at least we're breaking through some of these channel highs, and that's exactly what I wanted to see, right? So we're on the backside of this channel. Maybe we get the retest of it. We are still constructing lower highs, so that's something to take note of. But if we break through, maybe we can continue to climb here in Bitcoin and gain some of those losses that we had over the weekend there, Sharif. So that's what I'm waiting for. Going to be patient. But it's time for some
traders funded by Trade the Pool have been cashing out big. We're talking 5,300, 15,200, 36,000, and even, well, $29,940. Goodness gracious, on one trade. Here's how it works. You pay a one-time evaluation fee starting at $47. That's your total risk. You trade real shares, guys, not CFD, using up to $200,000 in the company's capital, and you keep up to 70% of the profits. There's no margin calls, guys. There's no account being blown up. Scan Trade the Pool's QR code on the bottom right of your screen to get 10% off and start your trading journey. Shout out to the great folks there at Trade the Pool. Yeah, fantastic. Look, guys, I just got alerts that our friend NITO, Tisha, this one did take out the pre-market high, and now it's zagging, but I saw this little trap before where it just breaks it by a shekel, maybe two, and then ends up retracing the entire way down as the shorts get the same alert that I got, that the pre-market high got taken out, and they get really aggressive, and that's kind of what we're seeing right now, or this could be just a regular pullback in the price action. This is the level that I had earmarked as the pre-market high. I'll tell you exactly 72.88, so 72 pennies, and 88ths of a penny there. Now the current high, essentially 75 pennies, 74.95. It's trading at 71.5 right now, NITO. Let's see if it holds 70. If it really defends that level, then, you know, it doesn't breach my rule, obviously, to trade it because it's breached the pre-market high. I just don't want to be bamboozled in the same way that I was bamboozled last week, just waiting for that, you know, technical break of the pre-market high. You punch in, and then all hell breaks loose to the downside. Who needs that? Right? Who needs that to start on a Monday? So what I'm doing right now, keeping my eye on NITO. Do I have it up on a trading screen? The answer to that is no. So we're going to put it, we're going to change Wolf, and we're going to put NITO on the NQ. There it is. So now it's doing its thing, 21. Let's see if we can get involved here with some small shares and then try this one to the upside. Let's see what it does. I don't mind defending it into 70. You can see that it zagged at that 70 penny level. So let's go ahead and throw it another dip trade, possibly at around 70. We'll throw it a little bit higher than that. And then we'll set up the beak wetter, the first one at 76, and then we'll throw another one here at 77.
Sharif, there's a good question in the chat here for you if you want to answer that one.
Absolutely, sir.
So can you please briefly explain the colors of your EMAs and
absolutely.
how you use each of them?
Oh, absolutely. Great question there. So let's go ahead and cover that right now. Did I throw my stop? Just allow me one quick sec to throw in a stop over here for this trade. So I put in that many shares. We're going to go like that, and then I added, so that'll be this many over here. So there we go. We'll throw that on. So great question there. And sometimes I take the opportunity to do it, but thank you for reminding me. Let's look at OMEX because they're nicely spaced apart. So all the moving averages are all going to be exponential, okay? The green one is the shortest moving average that I have. That's the 10 EMA. So that's the green one right there. Solid green line. Below that is the 20. Then The other one that I have is the red, which is the 50 exponential, and then the blue is the 200 exponential. The white line is the volume weighted average price. That's it. Those are the only lines you're going to see on my charts. I don't use pivots during the show. I have them on my trading screens at home for different reasons. But that's what I see over here, okay? Now, you're going to see the same thing on these charts, except the volume weighted average price can't be white on white, right? So I flipped it from white into black. So the same thing applies to all my trading screens. You got the red over here, that's the 50. You got the green, that's the 200, or sorry, that's the 10, and the yellow is the 20. So I hope that helps. Those are the ones that I'll always use. I won't change them. I've had them that way for as long as I can remember. So that's it. Thank you for asking that question. Now, let's talk about the trade that we've got on, NITO. What are we doing over here with this one? Are we holding the level? Okay, well, we're right back up into 73, looking to take out 74. Now, we know how these trades are. They're hard. These ones south of $1, there's so many different levels at which you can post sell orders. It just becomes a very thickly traded stock, and it's kind of hard to take out some levels. You're going to really have to pack your patience on this one. That's number one. Number two, we know the ones south of $1 are not traded by certain algorithms. They just don't get turned on until they are clearing that dollar area. So we're still about 25 pennies south of that. So those algos likely won't participate in this move up until we get closer to that dollar. All right, so let's have a look at GPUS over here because it's pulled back in quite nicely. What's the situation? It's still holding the 10 exponential despite that ugly topping tail candle into 848. So it's still got higher lows and higher highs, not higher highs, obviously. It's got higher lows. So this candle that we're currently on, the 1225 candle, look at that. It's continuing to defend the 10 EMA and continuing to put in those higher lows. And so even though we got a topping tail candle before it, it's not really the operative thing at the moment. So I'm thinking a possible re-entry into this one could be good here above that 7.5. You know, maybe right here at 7 1/3, you give it down into that 720 area, 715, something along those lines. Let's keep an eye out on this one. Certainly be persuaded to get back into this one if it sets up in the right way. Let's just have a look at the other one over here, NITO. Okay, we're breaking out highs now. We're at 75 pennies. Huge seller at 75. We're unable to shake that level. I've got my my next beak wetter posted at 76. So let's go ahead and post just one here at 75 to extract some profitability if we can. Back to GPUS, still 3 candles now in a row of lower highs. So that's what I'm looking at with that 848 high. Then we had the candle at 1225, excuse me, that put in a lower high. And then we're currently in the 1230 candle, which, yes, you guessed it, has yet another lower high. So keeping an eye out on that. Back to NITO. It's taking out all my levels now. There we go. Get it, Katina, man. So this one, guys, be patient for the pre-market high to get taken out. Have it prove to you that the bag holders from the pre-market are gone, or at least gone momentarily. Guessing when it's at the low level, it doesn't really typically help. So let's throw out some more orders over here. Now we're going to wait at 78. Pardon me. We're going to wait at 78. So let's go ahead just like this and tell it that we want to sell some at 78 and see what we get there. Joseph, what do you got on your side, my man?
Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin's starting to climb. I was looking at some PLTR stuff. I mean, off of those current lows, we're up 88%, which is absolutely insane. Like, what a stock this thing has been.
Beauty.
For an extended period of time now. So continuing to be one of the stronger names in the tech space, and that is PLTR from that 66.28 bottom, now trading at 125 and change. So just I think roughly 25 cents off of that all-time high. And I mentioned that, and it's kind of the same thesis here that I have going on with
getting lit over there,
yeah,
bro.
He's buzzing.
Katina's
right?
lit, bro.
Yeah, he's having a good time, and the Leafs play tonight, so why not? So why not? But bang. So yeah, I mean, here we go.
Man.
Cooking up.
He's cooking.
Cooking up. So kind of just the same idea that we got going on. I know it's kind of comparing apples to oranges on that front, but this is what we're looking for. Kind of just a break of some key zones and then kind of go and test that all-time high and then maybe push through it on Bitcoin. But this could also be another big fake out. And if it is, that is not going to be a good sign. I think we might be able to, we might head a little bit lower in this underlying. That would bring us down to this the lower end of this breakout zone if we do decide to not continue with the movement that we've been currently currently sitting in. So yeah, let's get back to some Palantir talk here momentarily. As we just wow,
what happened?
It's 124.71. What is the all-time high roughly? 125.59. So,
I think there's.
You're long 121. Yeah, he's long 121.
I'm pretty sure it broke the pre-market high at Blue Ocean last night.
Did it?
I'm pretty sure it did. Yeah. I can double check, but I'm pretty sure it did. Yeah.
On the good old Blue Ocean over there. Have you traded that yet?
I bought some shares when we had that huge pullback in the market because it was overnight, right? So I'm like, why not? And then you get this message from IB, like, oh, you're buying on Blue Ocean. We can't guarantee the price or whatever. Yeah, honestly, you've gotten that message before?
I don't. Yeah, all the time. I don't even understand how that. Like, it's like.
I don't really understand what's happening.
Do you use the one where it's like, okay, yeah, we can fill you at this price.
Yes.
But we also have the AI.
Stop confusing me here, man. Like I'm punching in.
You know how many times I've put in an order, it sends me this message, and now I'm second guessing what I'm doing.
100%. Yeah. And you're trying to do the action quickly because you want to get the price.
You're like, what's going on here?
It's so frustrating.
Yeah, it's so frustrating. So now, from now on, I'm just hitting don't ask me this anymore.
Exactly.
Just let me put my order in.
I don't want to hear.
I don't want to hear. Like,
yes.
It's like the devil on the side. You're like, are you sure, Joseph? Are you sure you want to make money at this price? I'm like, yes. And
Joseph, we're doing it freaking live here on NITO, bro. We just took this one. Where'd we take it, man? We took it at 72s. Look at this thing blow through 84s. Guys, we're all done again. No, we're not. We still have more shares. Okay, this is good. This is good news. We took it out there at 82s. High day, guys, 84s. It's really going right now. Sorry to interrupt you, Joseph, but this one was taking out the top, so I really wanted to mention that. NITO. We saw this before. I showed you what it did on February 26th. It's opened up at like 30-something pennies and rejected the dollar to the penny. My bias was that if we took out the pre-market high, there was a likelihood, a good likelihood, that we work our way closer to that dollar. We're not even close to the dollar yet, so let me not get so excited. 84 pennies high a day. We still got to go 16 more pennies. 16 more pennies on a dollar stock is like moving. It was moving from like Canada, I don't know where, to Mexico. You guys get it. It's far. It's relatively far. 16 pennies on another stock is a spread. On this one, it could be an entire day. So NITO, break into the high side. You will have to position large on this to make money. It is 80-something pennies, but it is a respectable pattern on the day. 184% is not a drop in the bucket, guys. Good luck. Joseph, sorry to interrupt you.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I'm still kind of, again, it's what's in the past is in the past, but I'm like, how did this even happen? Like, it doesn't even print the price here. I'll pull it up on the 1-minute time frame. It doesn't even print the price on my one trade here earlier in the morning, just risking these lows. It doesn't even print it on here. Oh, maybe it does. Now it's displaying it. Ha, ha, ha. Okay, but yeah, I mean, just off by a couple cents, we get that liquidity grab. That was us, and then sure enough, we go on that nice run. But that would have put me really nicely on the day. But let's go. Let's continue to climb here. I do like this pattern. You can see we touched this level multiple times. Umpteen times. 1, 2, 3, 4 touches here. A quad bottom, maybe we'll call this one. And then now we're heading towards some key resistance zones, looking to crack some of these pre-market levels, which I think are going to be really, really important. And you can see this gap down. This is just from the weekend, right? But I think this is totally recoverable. If Bitcoin really starts to get rolling, which I do believe it will eventually, maybe not today or within the next couple of days. I know Sharif and I said possibly 100,000 by the end of the week. Well, let's see what happens, right? We got to take everything day by day, step by step. But one thing I will note is this is a positive sign. I want to see this healthy pullback. I don't want us to just go parabolic without pulling back and taking a breath within the underlying. So we pull back, retest this range, and then maybe we can tap into that 100,000 and then north of that. And that's kind of what's going on. I mentioned that I got filled on some calls. I got the notification on my phone right down here, so I got the price that I wanted on those exactly. So I'm happy about that. And so now we're just super, super heavy, and we're looking for that appreciation to continue here in this underlying. But let's go. I want it to crack 53.60. If we can punch through that, then maybe we can climb to the high day. But let's take a look at the options chain to see what it is telling us from an overhead resistance standpoint. Oh, I just typed in the strike. I don't know why I do that. IBIT. So, yeah, let's see what we got going on. We're going to go over the call and the put side. There is some room to run here. 55.50, we got 56, we got 16,000 open contracts. And then when we run into 57.5 and 58 is where that size really starts to pick up with 13,000 and 20,000 open contracts. So that may be max pain for this week. That is going to be 58 exactly. Now, let's go to the put side and see what we got going on that front. Again, not too much going on. I mean, we got a lot of fours, 52.5 with 9,000, we'll call it flat, currently open contracts, and then 50 is going to be that next strike with only 4,000. So hopefully that 52.50 will come in and act as some key support just in case we break down to those levels. I'm not going to be grabbing any more shares, nor am I going to be any more contracts. I'm fully allocated for this swing here, and I'm most definitely going to keep you guys up to date regardless if I win or lose. This essentially doesn't matter. I talk about it all the time, how I'm specifically using unrealized gains to grab contracts and then use that appreciation to kind of just grab more and more size. I won't be doing it anymore. We're fully allocated, and I'm looking forward to see how this trade turns out.
That's fantastic, man. Good luck there. Wishing you obviously the best of luck on all those positions. Goes without saying there. All right, guys, I'm keeping an eye here on GPUS. Tisha, if you're in the chat, I don't know how I feel about this one anymore, Tisha. It's really having trouble taking out 7.5. I mean, it's been above 7.5, and every time it gets there, it's met with a wall of selling. And it keeps rejecting it over and over. Now, we did technically on the current 5-minute candle make a new high, but what the candle is ending up being right now with 1 minute left, less than a minute left for the candle to close, is a topping tail candle with a false breakout above the previous candle high. So we do have a candle high break, but it's on a wick basis, not on a closing basis. So I don't know. I feel this one's setting up for bamboozlement right now. Now, that's the bad side. The good side is I'm continuing to watch GPUS on the side chart. That's why I'm looking to the right. And believe it or not, the closing prints are all still defending that 10 EMA, even though the wicks are obviously breaking below it. So that's, you know, it's obviously not great for you if you're trying to base your trade off that 10 EMA, because your order doesn't know if it's wicking or closing below. So that's kind of my fear about this one, trying to work my way above that 7.5 only to be met with that aggressive selling. Here we go again with an attempt at 7.5. We're showing 45s. There it goes again above 7.5, but quickly met with aggressive selling. And here it is again above 7.5. All right, now it's clearing it, Joseph. So here, could this be it? Could this be it? Now, let's see if we can get, all right, we're chasing it now. So we're going to have to take some prints in the high 60s. Boom! Into the high 60s we go. You already know. If I'm in the 60s, you guys already know where I'm going to sit. So let's go ahead and sit there. We got 58s on. Anything below 40, I'm out. So we're going to have to risk a little bit over here on GPUS. That's it. We threw out the order. I'm waiting for 60. Actually, no, 60. We're going to wait a little bit higher. So we're going to wait a little bit over here at 75s or so. Let's see. 60s coming in. Again, aggressive selling at the 60s, 65s, now 69s. Can we get a little bit higher? There are 70. Nice trade so far. All right, we'll get back in if it dips in. Again, so GPUS, guys, continuing to give. And now it's got a 2-candle green setup on the 5. And the previous candle that I felt was a bamboozler ended up actually closing above the previous candle high. So it did look like it was going to be a topping tail candle for a moment, but that's why we wait for the candle to close. Now we're knocking the door of 7 3/4. 70 now, an aggressive seller at 70. We can't shake him. Now we're shaking him, baby. He's getting shaken out because now we're moving into 75. Joseph shaking next to me. That's sick. I did not expect that.
Give me shit. I got you, man. I got him. All right, take a breather. He didn't. It was the shake.
He was doing the shake shimmy there.
Yeah, shimmy shit.
That's buck nasty, says Neil. I was so I didn't notice, Neil, man. Sorry, I was trying to trade. How could I?
Wow.
Neil's coming in hot. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
When Joe was doing it, the Chappelle show.
All right, Neil, are you good?
Okay. So there's a character in Chappelle's show called Buck Nasty. So when you talk about that shimmy, it was every single time Charlie Murphy would do Buck Nasty before they would roll the take. The whole joke was that to get into character, he just started doing like. He just starts shaking like that. But I think you're shaking because it's freezing cold in here, everybody.
Oh, God.
I don't care what
God,
Sharif
more of
says.
this.
It's
I don't know
been
if you've seen
freezing
it.
More of
all
this.
day.
This, man,
All
I
day it's
can't
been
even
freezing.
think straight. That's how cold.
More
All
of
the market's a bit hot. By the way, that Nito, Sharif, pull out the daily chart on that NITO.
What's it look like, Neil?
85 cents where it turned around was a good top.
Okay.
I was too slow to pay for locates when I got up there because I was eating my delicious salad, which has lots of nice kale in it. But yeah, that 85 is not a random level. Maybe a pullback into view up.
Get it, Neil.
What, the kale's who put that on kale?
What
Why do you hate
happened, Neil?
kale,
What
man?
happened,
Kale's-
Katina, man? Why are you hitting the fail, brother?
It's so good for you.
What
So
happened,
good for
Katina,
you.
man? Can we see
that.
that food there, Katina, man?
bring it over here.
Are we able to see it? I think the production team.
Yeah, bring it over here.
Yeah. Can I have a? I won't touch your food. It's wrapped up. Yeah, because it's wrapped up. Yeah, I'm sure they can get a good gander of that. That's everybody's favorite protein, chicken. You got your salad. You got some rice over here with some mixed veggies. I happen to love that. I love the amount of fiber they throw in there, Katina, man. It's good for you. Not bad. He doesn't care.
Let me get a piece of that chicken.
He wants to get a piece of that chicken. Shout out to my man, the OG, Joseph Wilson.
All right, yeah, I mean, let's go. Like, I mean, NVDA, come on, start to break through some of these key levels. This is what we were waiting for. I think I was long this name a couple attempts here, but then now you can see we're running into some key resistance zones. That's a positive sign. I like this. It is slightly bullish PA, and that's one thing to note. This gap fill, this gap did get filled, so that was a trade in itself, right off of the opening range. So if you had the ability to just buy it there at 113.89 and then a low of 114, I guess that's not too big of a trade. So you'd have to be slightly more heavy on that front. But yeah, there we go. This is what I want to see. You guys know I'm long this as well in the swing account, so that's working out relatively well. Hopefully, I mean, I think we do continue to climb. There's a lot of room to run here. Let me take this off here so you guys don't see what I got going on. So here we go. It's still down 26% off of those all-time highs, NVDA. Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of room to run here, and that's why I'm trying to take advantage of it. I like this pullback. I do have some orders for a couple contracts on this as well, but I'm not going to take them until I get filled at the price that I want to, and that's going to be roughly around 111 or 109, and then we'll get the fill on those contracts. So going to be patient. I would rather it not, right, because I have shares as well too, so if those just appreciate in price, I'll be more than happy because I'm also heavy Bitcoin as well too. I really told you guys that. So
yeah, I know. They know. Yeah. They know. You win either way.
Yeah.
Whether it goes up or down.
I'm in a good winning position.
Yeah, that's good, man. That's fantastic.
Unless something catastrophic happens.
No.
Like if we get a hectic retruth from Donald himself saying we're dissolving the crypto reserve.
But don't forget,
all over,
you know what, Adara, the information that Adara brought us at tonight's dinner. What is that? $1.5 million a plate? $1.5 million a plate. Say it again, Adara. Tonight. The night. That's right. There's gonna be a fight at the crib. No, there's not gonna be a fight, guys.
Sailor's there, no?
Who?
Sailor.
Well, then there might be a fight. Shareholders might show up and scrap him. No, seriously though, we're kidding, obviously, guys. But tonight the dinner is going to be a crypto-focused dinner. I don't know. I'm just theorizing that there could be some potential announcements. He may want to juice up the crowd. Obviously, they're going to want to hear something that helps their position. I think that's just normal. To expect something like that. So it's going to be super interesting to see what we get today. It could be a nothing burger, obviously, or it could be really good. Or, it could be somewhere in between. David Sachs was obviously, he hasn't been on the All In podcast as much lately, but the last few weeks he has. And he didn't have anything to say yesterday about crypto, nothing, or Friday or whenever it was released. He didn't really say much. He didn't really make any AI pronouncements either. He just kind of talked about the state of the industry, this and that. So I didn't get the feeling that there was going to be anything today. Then we get the headline from Adara that the actual evening today will be crypto focused. So that to me changes things. So I'm going to be all ears to see if there are any pronouncements. Now, we did hear previous pronouncements. We talked about them. We got, I think, a headline last week that they could be looking at selling some of the gold at Fort Knox to subsidize some crypto purchase. Whether you believe that or not, an entirely different story. keep in mind what they're trying to do here, at least my perception of what they're trying to do, is they're trying to do what's it called? A zero budget kind of crypto allocation, meaning they don't want any new earmarked money to be spent by the government that hasn't been previously spent on crypto. So what is that? How do you do that? Well, then you sell previously owned assets, you dispose of those assets, and then you funnel the money into Bitcoin or whatever other cryptocurrency you want to do. That's how you end up getting that kind of budget zero, the budget friendly allocation. So what they sell, when they sell it, and that kind of, that's obviously up to them. We're spectators at this point, so we'll report it when we do have that news. So I'm going to be super interested to see what's said today. That is kind of my little spiel about that. Guys,
so
go ahead.
Cover this quick here.
Yeah,
Google's
absolutely.
really starting to move here, guys. Okay. We were looking at this price action pattern earlier, and then I looked for a short as well, too. But then as soon as we blew off this top, I just got out of that trade. So a nice liquidity grab here. 5-minute opening drive was extremely strong, and I was looking for that continuation within this consolidation phase right here in that bull flag type price action. But you can see we just liquidity grabbed. And now we've just been, for the past 45 minutes or so, we've been grinding towards this high day, and at this pace it's most definitely going to crack. So there's that look on Google. I was doing some TA over the weekend as well, and I said this is a name that can really get the ball moving. I mean, if you just go back to its previous history, Sharif, it's a repeat offender in doing these big moves to the downside and then constructing all-time highs. I'm not saying that's going to happen in this case, but I mean, if it's continuously doing it over and over again, at some point this name will recover, and there you go. You can see us running into some key zones right now, Sharif, as we break through some resistance.
Our friend Nicole Harris from Hotlanta. Come on, Nicole. I mean, I didn't know you as a troll, but now you're wearing your troll hat on.
Well, how would...
Look what she said.
Can we repeat
Nicole,
it?
we have to wait to buy Canada first before selling gold for crypto. Come on, Nicole. What is happening? You know you're not buying us, man. What's going on up there? No, look, guys, obviously Prime Minister Carney, the newly elected Prime Minister of Canada, will meet with Donald Trump tomorrow, I believe it's tomorrow. Is that the word? Is that the word that they're meeting tomorrow? My understanding is that they're meeting tomorrow. I'm sure Adara will have... Tuesday. Thank you, Adara, for that. It is Tuesday, so that is tomorrow. Obviously, that will be a big topic of discussion. We'll have to see, exactly what's discussed there and how each party presents it to the media thereafter, because this has been a thing where Carney kind of tells us one thing, Trump tells us another, and, usually the truth is somewhere in between. So we'll pack our patience to see what happens there. I just want to let you know, guys, I'm back into GPUS. We're taking prints here. We got 81s, just took a print at 95, but the majority of my orders are north of 8. I am trying for an $8 break here. So I did get a dip trade in the 60s after initially getting in the 80s. That's why I have a cost basis of 81, but this one is having a lot of trouble with 8. Not surprised there that it's having trouble with 8. So what's the deal with this one? Let's go ahead and wait here in the low 90s for a possible add. I could definitely be persuaded to add again at 7.5, but it's going to have to hold that 10 exponential Adair.
You just mentioned the word truth there, Sharif, during your last comments on Trump and Carney, and that reminds me, we have to talk about the ongoing situation between Donald Trump and Fed Chair Jerome Powell, a lot of which has been unfolding on Truth. I just released the 4th part of this ongoing Trump v. the Fed series on X that would be on Friday. This is part 4. The tension is not transitory. This is basically on Friday after we got this not NFP data. Trump goes on X and he said there's, quote, no inflation, and that, quote, the Fed should lower its rate, 3 exclamation points, all caps. So ahead of this FOMC meeting coming through on Wednesday, Donald Trump continuing to try to urge the Fed to get these rates down. It is worth noting, I know I haven't done as many throws or infographics today because I am working on a much larger research series that has gotten quite out of control on Fed Chair Jerome Powell and his ties and how they do or do not correlate to the market. So check that out very soon on X. It'll be an entire deep dive and thread. Back to you.
Thank you for that, Adara. Let's go over some of the top performing sectors here this morning, guys. I want to see what we got going on. And yeah, you'll see a little bit of a rotation from the last time I checked. So industrials are up about 0.6%. The comm services, again, up about 0.5% there. Real estate only up about 0.2 there on that front. But now the bottom three, guys, we got utilities in third last, negative 0.3 or 1/3, and then consumer discretionary negative 0.7, and then energy down 1.3%, closer to 1.4. And then in the middle, we just have the financials. That's one thing that I wanted to take a look at here as well, just due to how strong the SPY is. I think it's been trading slightly better than the NASDAQ. So with that being said, I always look at one of its other. If tech's just kind of been moving sideways, then I want to look at the second biggest sector within that, and that's going to be the financials in the SPY. So yeah, it's still slightly green on the day. Consumer staples, it is red. Healthcare red as well, and then the tech sector kind of in the middle of the pack there, down only about 0.1% there. So yeah, I mean, not a horrible day. I mean, we had a really good week last week. I mentioned this before. So this breath is totally normal. This is what I want to see in a kind of in a healthy rebound. A couple nice days to the top side, a day or two of just moving sideways, a small pullback, nothing crazy, a 1% retracement or anything along those lines, and then maybe we can continue on the path that we were the past week and continue on this rebound path, because that's something that I specifically want to see. I want to see some of these big names really start to recover, because I think that's great for the overall market. And I mentioned that NVDA is still down with the likes of 25 to 26%. So there is most definitely some room to run, and the Qs are just tapping on that high day, as Tesla is now through the volume weighted average pricing, continuing to climb. It was weak the first half hour, 40 minutes, or the first hour of the day, I should say. This thing was just on an absolute free fall, like waterfall type price action. And then you can see we did kind of double bottom right there, if we're not going to include the wicks, because that could just be a whipsaw move. You get that double bottom, and now we're north of the volume weighted average price on that one. Someone in the chat said, Joe, you got to get in on some TSLA. And I said, I don't want to chase it all the way up here. Going to wait for the pullback and the hold of specific zones. That's going to be this pivot right here, and we didn't get that. It's continuing to climb, and that's okay. We're still going to be patient. We're sitting in this IBIT trade until we get stopped out, break even, or we start hitting some profit targets, and I think that's going to happen if this market continues to climb. Meta is starting to head towards that high day as well. So tech starts rallying, then I think I'm going to be sitting in a good position, Shree.
Because I'm free falling. Yeah, it's not like a good stock or song to sing when you're long.
Is that?
Can you imagine?
Is that Oasis there?
I don't even know, brother. Okay, chill, Adara. He got it wrong. Jeez, Adara's gonna kill us.
Even Brando's laughing at me. He's like, "Come on, man." He's like, "What?"
Brendo didn't like it. Adara didn't like it. Nobody likes it, Joseph. Oh man.
I thought it was Oasis. No?
A good thing I didn't say that.
Because you don't even know who.
I don't even know who it is, but you know I'm not gonna take a shot. All right, guys.
Like, you gotta take a shot.
I have no idea. I really have no idea.
Oasis is a pretty good guess, no?
You sure? Who does?
Tom Petty, there you go.
Tom Petty?
That's right. Yeah, even Brando was giving me.
Hey!
Come on, Joe.
Anytime I hear Tom Petty, I just remember This Is 40, when she like bullies that kid that looks like Tom Petty, and she calls him out, and Melissa McCarthy is the dude's mom in the movie. Anyway, and then like it's a hilarious little segment there in the principal's office. Guys, we're doing it freaking live on GPUS. We're 40 pennies in the money. It's been knocking the door of 8. There's a huge seller at 8. We can't shake 8. And I've been watching this one for a while now. I don't want to take out too much too quickly. Boom! We take out 8, Joseph Wilson. And we pump up there. Now I still have one here at 820. That one unfilled. Can we get that bad boy filled? Show me you can get it filled, baby. Now we're showing 12s, 14s, 18s. Count. Boom! We're going to hit the dollar club soon, hopefully. We're going to wait at 850. That's where we're waiting for the next one, and that will be a dollar club winner if we can get it. 830 now. 830. So it's just continuing to reject that level. It's not going to move up in a straight line, but GPUS, guys, is the gift that keeps on giving. It's up 500%. Put some dang respect on this one's name. Let's see if we can keep going here. Maybe we can get to a 10 print. Who knows? But there's a monster seller at 30s. We're shaking them. We're doing it live right now. 835 now, the local area high. We're still south, though, believe it or not, of that whole dollar level, 848. So my print here at 850 requires a high day break. That may actually make me rethink taking out that level because it's a lower probability exit. The fact that we have to take out the high of the day makes it a lower probability exit in my submission. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flatten out likely in the low 40s to high 30s. If we can get that print, I will flatten out using my flattened key. We're having trouble shaking 30s right now. That's the end of the trade for me over here. I've seen this story before where that seller keeps coming in. Now, if we take out 850, I'm gonna get back in. Okay. Simple as that. Look how many trades I've had on this thing. It's polluted. This looks like a Katina chart. Katina, look at the one.
Katina man's trolling too.
Yeah. It's definitely not a Katina trade, but it's Katina-esque, right? So there we go. Now he accepts that, right? No, but I have it on the 5 Katina, man. That's why it looks all condensed. When I flip to the 1, you can kind of see it a little bit, a little bit less condensed there. And you guys know that I'm always looking at the 5 on this bad boy. We always chart on the 5, and now we're executing on the 5. So 848, Joseph Wilson. Yeah. That is the current high day right now on this monster. Let's see if we can take out that level. If we take out that level, I'm getting back in.
All right, then. I was considering of mentioning maybe some songs that I thought were Oasis, but I don't want to. I don't want to dig myself any bigger of a hole than I already have. So,
Cisco?
Yeah.
You thinking of Cisco there?
No, I'm not going to say anything, man.
What happened?
I'm going to leave it at that because I was going to say I'm not. Wonderwall. That's.
Say it again.
Wonderwall, right? I'm a Wonderwall. Yeah. That's Oasis. All right. So there we go.
I'm really uncultured.
Yeah. Slight recovery. I kind of get the two mixed up, but that's okay. Come on, Bitcoin. Let's crack through some of these key levels. 5360 is what we're looking for. You see, we have multiple touches here, even on the 5-minute time frame. Yeah, there you go. Northwestern Canopy. Yeah, you caught that. Yeah, here we go. We're looking for that crack of that key level. You can see we've been running into it multiple times. Someone in the chat said Palantir $80 soon. It's so overbought. I don't think that's going to be the case whatsoever. That's like 45 points from now, so there's no way. I shouldn't say no way, but I don't think it gets to there. I think we're on that push for that all-time high. Yeah. You guys are killing me in the chat. I'm trying to keep a straight face because they caught what I said. So let's get that break here. I think it will come, especially if we knock on it one more time. You can see we have this resistance area right around here and here and here. So there's multiple touches and on this base. So again, just a nice consolidation, looking for the break of that 53. And then I think we can head into that 53.70 level and then maybe even into 54s if it wants to put on a half decent day. Meta still slowly grinding higher. Positive sign. I mean, from that bottom, we're still down roughly about 20% as well too in this, Sharif.
Neil, Weight Watchers.
20% exactly from that peak all the way to where we're currently trading at. What is Weight Watchers doing?
It's breaking out.
Is it breaking out? Yeah. Let's get into Weight Watchers right here as we continue to climb. I heard Neil said he put all his money into Weight Watchers or something like that the other day.
Did he say that actually? No, he didn't. That's why he was so chill. He knew. He was like.
Someone said, I think it was Katina, man. He's like, yeah, he just went all in. Weight Watchers at 10 cents. And there you go, trading at 70. But that volume stepping in, Sharif, way to call out that breakout. That's what we want to see. My eyes are on this, especially now. I like what we're sitting at. Going to wait for that pullback, and then maybe we can get the continuation in the trend. And I think that's what we need to be patient for. That breakout volume is there. It's confirmed. Now wait for that lower pullback volume, and then we can look for an entry based off of that, Sharif.
Thank you, Joseph, for that. Guys, GPUS, it giveth, but you know what I'm already going to say. It taketh frickin' away. This is ugly right here, and this is the nature of these small cap crappers, and that's what they do. They crap the bed sometimes, and it just did it right here. So this is a specialist breakdown in my humble submission. So we get up into that 848, 8 1/3, and then all hell breaks loose. You come up, you're about to take out that high of the day, then you drop casually $1.30. And yes, okay, it got bought up, fine. That's normal. But do you think that everybody didn't get stopped out there? This is a specialist breakdown. It happens more on these stocks that can be manipulated more easily than, say, obviously your large cap stock, which require billions of dollars to move. But these ones don't. I'm talking about GPUS and the like, these small cap names. What's the current market cap of GPUS? 52 million. That's after a 500% day. Remove that 500% and where are we at market cap? So I really want to take the time to kind of explain what happened here. So obviously, we're putting in higher lows and higher highs. Everybody knows that. You don't need to be a chartered market technician to see that. And in addition to that, you've been very respectful of the 10 exponential moving average on the 5. So what are the short sellers, or not even the short sellers, what do the longs who want to take this bad boy do? They send a huge sell order pushing everybody's stop losses out. What happens when your stop loss gets triggered, guys? You got to sell. So you sell. Katina Man sells. Joseph sells. Adara sells. Everybody's selling. Yeah, I know you didn't sell, bro. But the point is, everybody's stops are getting triggered. So all of a sudden, you're taking out all these levels super quick. But guess who's waiting at that 20 EMA? The same dude who pushed it down. Damn. He buys it for $1 less. So these specialist breakouts, specialist breakdowns are kind of part and parcel of trading these small cap gappers. They're very frustrating. Believe me, I've been caught on them multiple times, but that's why I'm quick to exit these ones. And I don't hold them the way I would hold an Apple, the way I would hold a Netflix or an Nvidia. It's just not the same trade. And obviously, you know, there's no way for me to know it's going to hold up at the 20 if it's a specialist breakdown or somebody basically unloading the entire position at a sick price because up 500%. How do I know? So it's impossible to know. That's why I don't take my time, or I don't take that much time in them. You're in, you're out. That's how I perceive these ones to be best traded. Quick, get in and get the hell out. So GPUS, a bamboozler, but it's still, believe it or not, in play. Even though it dropped $1.50 or $1.30, excuse me, quick as you like, it's right back above the 10. And if this candle were to close right now on the 5, it'd be above the 10 exponential moving average. And the closing print would be higher than the previous area low. What's up?
We're in it. We're in it.
I love it.
So
Joseph is trading a small cap gapper. Hell is going to freeze over next day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Don't bring your water. So we're going to go to Adara. Let's see. I was looking for that push of that high a day. I mentioned looking for that, waiting for that pullback here. We got it. So now we're just going to be patient on this, see if we can crack this 80 level here on Weight Watchers. Let's see what Adara's up to.
We did get here the 3-year note auction. Doesn't look like it was super market moving, but worth noting regardless. 3-year note auction. High yield, 3.824% is what we got. The previous was 3.784%. So a little bit higher than the previous for that 3-year note auction that just came through. Back to you.
Sorry, Joseph, no, people are yelling about HIMS right now. So HIMS sold off aggressively. If you allow me just 1 second to bring in my side chart over here. So this is WW. We're going to wish Joseph obviously the best on this trade. It's at the high of the day. Fantastic look. It's a full-blown breakout. But let's have a look at HIMS. So this one was incrementally moving up. Higher low, higher low, higher low. Then all hell breaks loose. It comes to take out, guess what? The implied balance high. And that implied balance high, look at what it coincides with. Yeah, that pre-market high. So the short sellers were waiting either at that IB high or that pre-market high. Sorry, I kind of glossed over an issue. An implied balance high, the technical definition is the high from 9:30 to 10:30. By conversely, excuse me, the implied balance low is the low that prints from 9:30 to 10:30. Those are important for a technical reason. And in this particular case, you're looking at that 9:30 print, which has a high, guys, of 42.47. Look at the high of the day, 42.48. And it drops like $2 as soon as it hits it. So yeah, I'm not going to be convinced that these levels are not live. And in addition to that, so 42.47 implied balance high, 42.48 technical high of the day at regular market hours, and look at this pre-market high, 42.49. So what can we glean from this? There's a hell of a seller, whether it's in the pre-market, the open, or midday at that 42.5 that just can't be shaken, at least not yet. I'm talking about HIMS. And excuse me for 1 second, if I look back here at April 29th, what was the high here? The high there, I'm just looking, Joseph, 42.72, 42.71. So there's definitely a seller in that 42.50, 42.70. That's been going back days. Adara, tell us what's up.
I couldn't find any news in this drop. People on X are confused. Some are saying that this could potentially be a bit of a earnings leak, but I'm not seeing any evidence to suggest that. Others pointing out this technical level. It looks like we just bounced off or rejected from the pre-market high here in HIMS. As far as I can tell, that seems to be what happened. But this morning, we did get some news on this one ahead of its earnings report tonight. The company this morning announced that they've appointed a new COO. So hims and hers with a new COO ahead of their earnings report tonight after the close. Join Neil and myself on the Market Recap Show. Back to you.
Yeah, let's go. I mean, DJ, I told you don't do it. And then Bob the dog says, yeah.
Bob
the dog. It's looking like it, brother, to be honest with you. If we crack,
my bad.
That's crazy. But I mean, 78. Whoa, okay, Sharif, you're talking about what a gap down.
I'm telling you, bro. You can't hold them, Joseph.
Yeah, you honestly can. If you need that momentum, hopefully this is a liquidity grab. I mean, I'm not putting on any crazy shares whatsoever on this thing. We're looking for that crack of that 80 level, but what a fierce move down. You lost a couple pennies just like that. I was looking for the continuation of that breakout volume, so maybe this will be a liquidity grab, but if we come right back into the midst of this range right here, just got to get out of the trade. It didn't work out, right? So that's okay. Weight Watchers, I know it's been in play for the past couple of a week or so, so we're just going to look for the continuation. It looks like people want to get aggressive in it, so then we'll look to participate on that front. So monitoring this for that break of 80, then we'll slowly start to piece them out. IBIT still hovering around the lower end of this consolidation phase, looking for the crack of 53.60. Hopefully we're not going to construct any lower high and then break down south of the volume weighted average. But there we go. On Weight Watchers. There we broke it. What a liquidity grab here. That's essentially what it was, right? So whoever had their stops placed right there, and let's go. We're still continuing to climb. Yeah, this is it. That volume really stepped in. I just talked about that breakout volume, looking for that breath in the price action, and then now we're starting to climb. So I'm going to post up here at 81s there, Shreve. Look to take off a little bit more because I know you say they're not here for a very long time. So I'm going to take your sound advice on that front because you trade them much more than I do. But there we go. We took 66% of the position off right there on Weight Watchers. Simple thesis. Breakout volume, wait for that pullback, lower volume, and then you look for that break of the high day. Bob the dog says lucky. Maybe a little bit of luck involved, but don't forget, I literally said to you guys in real time, I see that breakout volume, waiting for that price action to pull back, lower volume on the pullback, and then you get those buyers stepping in. You can see the aggression here to the top side. So is luck involved? Absolutely. But I'm going to credit myself there, Sharif, and say there was definitely some skill involved in that one.
I would have to 100% agree with that. Andre, the tickers are now live. Sent them to you, brother. So, guys, I just had eyes on this one right now. Not one that we often talk about, if at all, but on ON. Just allow me a second over here. I believe this is a microchip semiconductor name. ON is the ticker. It is on semi. It's down 8 1/3%, and it has an SSR beside it, mean that it was down over 10% at one point. Did this thing report? Give me 1 second over here. They actually beat, and they're down aggressively. On semiconductor, Q1 earnings beat estimates. Beat estimates. Okay, so they did beat on semi. When the hell did they report? Was it this morning? Yes, it was this morning. So likely the guide. I haven't had an opportunity to read it, but on semi, it's a $16.25 billion market cap, so it's not like the biggest move ever. It zigs and zags. There's the algo spike at around 8 a.m., or that looks like institutional prints, to be honest with you. But there was an aggressive sell-off there, and it's down about 8.2%. It's been a rock-solid trade as a short here in the 38.75, 38.60s, and that's been the case basically all morning. Look at that, down and to the right, very bear flaggish. If you zoom out on a wider time frame, it'll look more bear flaggish, like the 15. There you go, kind of a down consolidation. Do we get a flat bottom break through 38? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. The market not buying it up right now. So ON, big move down on that one. Again, not one that we typically talk about, but Thought I would mention it to you as one of these outsized movers on the day. Sorry guys, no positions on right now. I'm still watching GPUS, as you can see there on the side chart. It's holding the 20, trying to get back above the 10, but I'd really like for this one to clear 8 on a decisive basis. It really has had trouble staying above 8. It's wicked above 8 3 times today. The initial was right at right at the start of the show, 11:20, 11:25 candles, we wick above it. Then again, we have a breach of 8 at 12:20. These are all on the 5-minute chart. And then again at 12:55 and 1 o'clock. Joe, I love when you chuckle, bro, when you're chatting with the people. I'm trying to do my day. You're killing me, dog.
Bro, I'm sorry.
It's all good.
Yeah.
So I hate to keep using the term flat top break, but this is genuinely what I perceive, guys, because look at that. Even though we had that ugly sell-off, it is still a situation where we find ourselves putting in higher lows. All the while, we're able to clearly see that that $8 level is elusive, at least on a closing basis, not a wick basis. So building a position here on GPUS, on the dips, possibly into the 20 EMA on the 5 is what I mean when I say that. Could be money here. And again, all the closing prints as well as the wicks seem to be defending that yellow line. Again, that yellow line on my chart, guys, that's a 20 exponential moving average on a 5-minute chart. And you had one touch over here at it at 11:45, got bought up. You got one touch over here at 1:05, got bought up. So the deeper retracements seem to be holding up at the 20 with that elusive level of 8 maintaining, but the higher low situation is really what keeps me interested in GPUS, at least for the moment. I don't think this is the right time to weasel in. I'd like possibly another 20 EMA pullback, may or may not get that. They're kind of sparse in their allocation. 11:45, as I mentioned, was the first one. The second one, 1:05. So, you know, over an hour and 20 minutes apart there. So that's what I'm keeping my eye on right now, GPUS. Now, the other one, I got stopped out of this one, full disclosure, NITO. We had a good trade on it, then one not so good when I got back in. This one is still presenting me with an opportunity. So even though I'm 1 for 1 on it, this one could be one of those ones that touches $1, especially now after that sell-off that pushed me out of the trade. We've got 3 candles, 3 green candles, mind you, all putting in higher highs and higher lows. Still, though, unable to create that new area high. That new area high comes above these 2 candles over here, the one at 12.50 and the one at 12.55. You got to print something above that 78 3/4. You get 78 3/4, that's a new area high, and now we're talking about putting in higher highs as well as higher lows. So I'm keeping my eye on NITO, GPUS. OMEX was good to start. Zcar is giving up the ghost. It's below VWAP now and no longer of interest to me. IMMP, we had a good trade on, but this one I'll submit to you guys. Very lightly traded, as you can see that volume profile down and to the right. It's essentially hard to even see the volume bars at this point relative to the volume bars that we're printing, say at like 11 and 11:30. So this one I'm not really, that excited about getting into. What else do we got here? Criminal, CRML. I know. Well, it's close enough to criminal, Adara. You know what I mean? I will get it. I do appreciate you. So 188 over here seems to be that area breakout, but it could be a $1.90. What I see with these ones is a stair step. Kind of like stairs, right? You take one step over here, you take one step over there, and they're just stair stepping up. And it ends up holding at the previous area resistance. You see what I'm saying? So if this is previous area resistance at a $1.88, you come back into a $1.88, you hold it, and then you clear that $2 area. So CRML, I could be a buyer here at either a $1.88 or a $1.87. Where VWAP is, I'll submit to you, there's probably not much of a difference between the two levels. So yeah, CRML looks good, but again, when you do look at the volume profile for this one, it is down and to the right. So it's just losing the volume. And that's not exactly a glowing endorsement to get into a long. So that is my look there. I can do the news if we want to take a little bit of a break, unless you have something to cover.
Let me cover this here for a couple of seconds, and then we'll hop into some of that news.
Got it.
Much anticipated news. So guys, let's go. Let's get this ball rolling. I got out of I got out of IBIT too. It came back towards my break even. We didn't get that breakout. Multiple touches on that overhead, and then we just collapsed right back in towards the volume weighted average price. Now I'm sitting in Weight Watchers, and I'm looking for that stair step pattern that Sharif was just referring to. So you can see, we'll call this stair, and then we take a little step here, and then now we're just kind of chilling on this platform, waiting for the break of this 81.82. So we need to see that volume really step in and crack through some of these resistance zones in order for us to get that as obvious as it may seem. If it comes back to my break even, then I'll just hop out of the trade. No worries about that. But right now it's looking like it wants to crack it. And we're looking to participate on that front. I don't often trade these names, the penny stock Sharif, but I mean up 40%. You called out that breakout volume, so regardless of the underlying, just trade the price action.
Bang.
And then sure enough, that's what we have going on here with Weight Watchers. And I want to see it. I'm just going to go on a little bit for another minute or so, Sharif,
Do your
because
thing, baby.
I want to see if we crack this, right? And if we crack the 82s, then we'll be having some fun with these small cap. I won't say the other word instead because I know.
Small cap crappers?
Yeah.
I can say it for you.
Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. But I don't
It's a joke.
Hey, man, it is a joke.
It's a gapper instead of crapper instead of grapper.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
You know what I
It's
mean?
like it almost wants to come out, but I've been fighting that one throughout the whole duration of me trading this. So hopefully it doesn't slip. And if it does, then apologies from your boy. Betting on Wonder. Why you betting on Wonder Woman? Is there a new movie or something out like that? Oh, okay, WW. I get it. Yeah. So let's go. Yeah, come on, let's go. Break 80s here. You can see the tape. We'll focus on that there, guys. We're starting to get a slightly more aggressive here on the ask. But one thing to note is that you can see the price action isn't very reactive to it, and it's more reactive to the downside. So if we come back into 79, then we'll just hop out of this trade. But we're continuously looking for this break of 82. We may not get it because you can see on the 1 minute time frame that volume on the 1 minute signature is really starting to pick up. So that's not a positive sign. For pullbacks, we want to see that volume slowly start to decay, and then buyers step right in, pushing price higher and higher. But that's not the case, Sharif. It looks like we're going to get stopped out here.
You see what your friend Sports and Stonk said?
With Sports and
Weight Watchers are Stairmasters. Just because you're talking about the stair step? Come on, man. You didn't see the irony in that?
That's an ultimate.
Get it, Sports and Stonks.
When was the last time you were on the Stairmaster?
You know my opinion about cardio, right? Like, no. So I have a theory. I have a theory. Here's how I feel, and like you tell me what you guys think about this. This is my philosophy, and I tried to tell the Katina men this, by the way, too. So, Joseph, say you intake. Let's say 2,000 calories.
We're out of here.
Okay?
Yeah.
No, you didn't do anything. I need to engage you.
No, I said we're out of here.
Okay.
No, I said, yeah.
I thought you said what I do.
No. I said, no, I'm out of the Weight Watchers.
Say you intake 2,000 calories, and you want to be in the caloric deficit so you can lose weight, okay? So say you want to be at 1,800 calories a day. I'm just giving you any numbers here, okay? 2,000, you've intaken 2, but you want to be at 800. So you need to be in a deficit of 200 a day to lose weight.
Yeah.
Calories in, calories out, right?
Yeah.
So what you do to achieve that deficit, to me, is what's operative. For example, if you want to go on cardio machine and lose that 200 calories, that's one way. I see that as dead calories. You're not utilizing those calories. Instead, I can strength train, use those 200 calories to build muscle rather than just expend them for the sake of expending them.
I see what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what I feel cardio is a waste of time. It's a controversial perspective, but I do feel cardio is a waste of time.
And
let me just finish my point. So I can do the exact same thing. I don't need to be lifting at 80 and 90%, Joseph. I can lift at 50 and 60% to still have that muscular kind of hypertrophy pitch and also burn the calories.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? That's my thinking.
So you think it's a waste of time if you're trying to build muscle and burn those calories? It's obviously not a waste
Even
of time.
if you want to lose weight, why wouldn't you do strength training rather than cardio? They both burn calories, and the strength training, your metabolism rises because you continue to burn calories after.
That's
when you're doing cardio, you stop burning calories the second you get off that machine. So I've always felt that strength training, not at 100%. I'm talking about 50, 60% like output. Definitely the better than the cardio. That's just my perspective on things.
You do 10Ks in the summer too, though, don't you?
Once a week, and I do it because it's the boys. It's the boys thing. We all go downtown, we run on the beach, this and that. You know the situation, right?
Tarps off. For sure.
Tarps, 100% tarps off. I didn't actually start that though. My buddy is like, yo, everything tarp off, and that's how he calls it too, by the way.
Tarps?
He calls it tarps off, so like you guys are both the same.
Summer is all tarps off. I don't know. Did I tell you about my summer of no tarp? It was a good summer. What am I doing?
No tarp.
Yeah. I was in my early 20s on my old high hearts. Yeah. All right. Anyways, guys, in sports playing, go Leafs, go. Flexibility is everything. At ProfitX, you can see the order book just like a financial exchange. Pick your spot and customize the odds to fit your risk. Why settle for a single offered price when you can set your own? Plus, our own mobile interface makes it easy to play on the go. ProfitX, where you call the shots anytime, anywhere. Users can use code TraderTV to get our sign-up offer of 2% cash back of up to $300.
All right, I got to mention something. All right, everybody's saying cardio is important for heart health. 100% agree. But guys, you can achieve the same elevated heart rate doing strength training with lighter weight. In fact, it's even better than doing that with cardio because your heart rate goes up like this, up and down, and that's really good for your metabolic expenditure. If you have a consistent heart rate, your body just kind of tends to get used to it. Whereas if you're elevated, down, that is actually a lot better. So completely agree with everybody in the chat that cardio is excellent for heart health, but you can achieve the same thing through lighter output strength training. So I really want to make that very clear. I've been working out since I was 18 years old. I don't have a kinesiology degree. I'm 43 years old, so I have an idea of what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you got an idea for sure. I mean, to add to your point, Trev,
I want to hear it. Yeah.
It's nothing against it. I'm going to confirm that you can. There's other ways to gain it. But Kamaru Usman, a former UFC champion,
yes, sir.
The best of all time,
yes, sir.
He never ran because he had bad knees, but he never got tired as well too. So he had
what was he doing? Was he doing strength?
Wrestling, strength training, etc. High intensity.
When you're doing that, you're doing your cardiovascular output when you strength train too, bro. Like, I mean, you're telling me when you're wrestling and grappling and your heart rate is like at $150 for like an hour, you're doing cardio.
You're killing it. You're killing it. Me personally, I like it. Right? I just like the runner side. I like kind of zoning out and just continuously. One thing I will note about running is that your brain will always tell you to stop. Like
100% agree.
You're tired. But then one thing that I really like about it is that I just continuously push. It doesn't matter until my legs just absolutely give up on me. I'll always try to push my mind that much farther and farther. And that's one thing, that's one aspect that I like of running is that you have the ability to do.
Everything you just said, I absolutely agree with. And I do love the runner's high. And you don't get that with strength training.
No, you don't.
Full disclosure. Yeah. So if you're all about that life, have at it. All right, guys, we're gonna do the news. Andre Assassino. We're gonna do the news now. All right, everybody knows the OG, he's out, okay? He's gonna be out by the end of the year. I'm talking about the real OG. I'm talking about our friend Warren Buffett, announced towards the end of, I think, the Saturday meeting of Berkshire Hathaway that he was retiring. He literally waited till the last question was over, and he kind of put it, everybody surprised there because Greg Abel, who was the incoming CEO, didn't know. The board didn't know, save and except for his two children. Those are the only two people, so everyone was taken by surprise. We all expected that it was going to be, we just didn't know now. Now, he did announce back in 21, Katina Man, that Greg Abel was going to be the successor or something like that. So we knew that Greg was going to take the helm, we just didn't know when. So apparently as well, yesterday, the board met, the Berkshire Hathaway board did meet, and they did vote unanimously to appoint Greg Abel as president and CEO starting January 1st, 2026. So we all know about that. And Warren will remain as chairman. He believes there could be possible good opportunities or rough times, whatever. So he wants to stay around to be able to pull the trigger and to make the appropriate advisements to Greg should that become the case. So the announcement came as a surprise, obviously. Abel, let me just make sure. Greg Abel, that is currently the vice chair for non-insurance operations. So that Geico, he has nothing to do with that. He was named as a successor in 21, but wasn't expecting that immediate transition. Buffett emphasized that Abel will have full operational authority after the transition, AKA he can buy some stuff. The strategic implications here, Buffett says he could be helpful if we ran into periods of great opportunity. He also did mention tough times because he'd like to be able to kind of be the buffer, no pun intended, between... we're learning from you, Adara. He wants to be the buffer sort of between business and government, as often, usually during hard times, sentiment by the public tends to be a bit down on business, so he would like to be around there. Now, that's the Warren Buffett story. Separately around that, our friend Donald did, and where is he at, bro? Where is he? There he is. Our friend Donald did announce yesterday night that there will be 100% tariffs on all movies produced outside the United States. He called it a national security threat. I'm willing to give this guy room, but I just don't see the national security threat component to this. But hey, what do I know?
So what, Mission Impossible 15? It's not allowed to be filmed.
Bro, Joseph, if Mission Impossible 15 is not filmed in the U.S., we're going to nuclear war.
We're going to nuclear war.
All right, so, let's not make light of that.
Shout out my guy, I almost forgot his name.
It might be on theme. Fabian, you're always so positive about him all the time. I love you, brother. On Truth Social, Donald Trump claimed U.S. movie making is dying due to foreign tax incentives and propaganda risks, and he urged a return to domestic production. Just got to tell you, full disclosure, one of those areas that takes advantage of that is Toronto, the area where we live. They don't stop filming movies here. Everywhere you go in the city, you see film production sets, Starline they call it, and they're around everywhere. The tariffs will be implemented by the Department of Commerce, but there's so many unanswered questions that we don't know. Will the streaming content, like by Netflix, etc., will be that included only like box office hits? Are tariffs based on the production costs or the box office revenue? Again, we don't know. And how will the enforcement work? So lots of unanswered questions there. But to give you an idea of why he wants to do this, have a look at this, Joseph. Film production in LA is down 40% in the last decade. Right. I think there's a reason for that, bro. It's hard to film in LA. Have you been to LA? Have you seen LA traffic?
I personally haven't, but I heard it.
It's insane.
Taxes
and it's very expensive to get the licenses to do that. And that's why they shoot in Vancouver. That's why they shoot in Toronto, Fabian, because it's cheaper over here. But that doesn't please Donald Trump. Also, in 2023, half of all U.S. productions with 40 million or more budget were filmed abroad. Half. And that's 2 years ago. A recent ProPod survey ranked California only 6th in film production, so not a good look there for the film industry in the United States. Now, let's talk about your friend, everybody's friend around here, but most notably the Katina man's friend, Palin Dang Tier. Wow. So these guys report after the bell today, so get ready for the market recap show. Palantir is reporting. It did hit an all-time high overnight on Blue Ocean of 126.28. Where's that at right now? Let's just make sure I'm not wrong about that. Where are we at? We're at 123.81. So 126.28 all-time high. And that's up from Friday's close. This comes ahead of the earnings, and this is what we're expecting. We're expecting 13 pennies of profit. That's EPS, earnings per share, on revenue of $862.83 million. So we're still south of a billy, but that doesn't matter because it's really more of a future story here. The momentum drivers, well, it's up 392% over the last year. Ooh. So 400% in the last year, fueled obviously by AI enthusiasm, expanding government contracts for military. We know about that. The recent delivery of the Battlefield Titan system to the U.S. military, that was huge. Titan, as well as their AIP, those are kind of the main products they have there. And they have a new AI partnership now with NATO, not just the United States, so good look for them. Some of the analyst consensus on this bad boy, we have a consensus price target, which means an average price target of around $70, which literally implies a 45% downside. So these guys need to get back in the loop. Speaking of loop, Loop Capital has the high, the street high price target on Palantir at $125. The low, the delusional company of Wolf Research still has it at $7.50. That's quite delusional.
That is crazy.
Yeah. RBC, Morgan Stanley, D.A. Davidson, they're all around about 76 and 2/3 dollars. So good look for Palantir. Let me know if you want to interrupt.
Absolutely.
Go.
Alex, my guy.
I like how you dealt with that protester the other day. Did you see what he did to the protester?
And no, we can't get organic heat-seeking missiles for them.
I'm hanging up. I can't believe you said that. That was so good. Organic heat-seeking missiles.
That's what he wants. That's what the guy wants, man. There we go. Here we got the expected move, Sharif.
That was fantastic, Joseph. Good for you for that one, bro.
That's what he's looking for. So, I mean, we don't want to get there, Mr. Alex, but it is all what it is. But here we go, Sharif. I got the expected move here on Palantir. So that's 12.9% expected on either way. So that can put us at a high of 140 or a low of 108.38. Now, let's note here, guys, if you have the ability to pull up your options chain on this week's expiration cycle, look at that $125 strike price. And what do we see? We see the highest amount of OI right there. So you can see that we have tested that level today, and we've rejected it. Okay, so 20,000, 19,000 to be exact, open contracts right there at that 125, acting as some overhead resistance from an intraday standpoint. Now, with this earnings report coming this evening, we can absolutely blow past that. And if it does happen, maybe we squeeze even higher, and then that's why we can possibly head. If we exceed that expected move, that implied move here, then we can most definitely get north of 140. But be patient. I'm not saying that's going to be the case, but some traders may be caught offside, Sharif, at 125.
All right, we're going to jump through crypto here super quick because there's really not a whole lot to talk about here for crypto. I'll just tell you guys about the liquidations and the sentiment because there's not really a whole lot to report on. $180 million in liquidated positions. I believe on Friday, BTC open interest rising now to about 62.1 billion, which is down about 3%. Over apparently 50% of Binance Bitcoin traders were net short on Friday, and the crypto fear and greed index is now at neutral. So that's all I really have to report about that. Let's talk about oil though, because that's not something we typically talk about on the show, but oil, guys, is down below 60 bucks again. It's at 57, barely holding on to 57. And as you can see there, oil now is down 20% year to date. And that's kind of for a reason, because OPEC keeps increasing production despite a lack of demand or a lack of increase in demand. So the new output hike for June, they're going to increase, guys, to 411,000 barrels per day addition to what they're already producing. That matches May's surprise hike. So the total additions now over 2 months, over May and June, is going to be an added 822,000 barrels per day. Okay, that far exceeds Goldman's initial estimate. Goldman was thinking about 140,000 barrels per day for the June forecast. That would be combined May, June. So that's like almost fivefold, whatever that is, higher than what Goldman expectations were. Some of the bearish pressures, recession fears from Trump's tariffs dampen demand outlooks. That doesn't really make sense to me. If it's dampening the demand outlook, why would they be increasing production unless there was some other reason to do that? There's also a record amount of monthly losses for oil in April, the worst that we've seen since basically 2021. And the oil field investment pullback, like your Baker Hughes, SLB, all warn of constrained upstream activity. And then there's also uncertainty in Mexico and Saudi Arabia, which could also be a drag. So oil on watch. Let me just flip to the daily here on the CL June contract to see where we are relative to the range. So that, yeah, guys, I mean, the only other day we were lower than this was April 9th. We had a low there of 54.69, but we ended up closing well higher at 61. Today, we have a low of 55.30. So we're right back at those area lows on oil. So keep your eye on Chevron, Exxon, etc., Oxy. This one, though, is super interesting. So U.S. lawmakers now are pushing for AI chip tracking. They're proposing a bill, obviously starting in the House of Representatives, to combat smuggling these advanced AI chips into China specifically. So Democratic Representative Bill Foster out of Illinois plans to introduce legislation requiring what they call post-sale location verification of these AI chips, such as those obviously made by our friend NVIDIA. The move obviously responds to widespread smuggling of restricted NVIDIA chips into China. despite export controls obviously enforced by both the previous Biden administration and now under the Trump. There's two main proposals here, guys, to get this done. Number one, they want to track AI chips post-sale to verify their location using basically tracking devices on the chips themselves. That's option number one. Option number two, they're looking at blocking the unlicensed chips from even booting up under the U.S. export law. So the two options here they're looking at. We'll talk about this in a second.
Yeah, check this out though, Sharif. New traders, listen up. First month free. That's right. We're waiving fees. Trade smarter, not harder. Upgrade to Elite. Analyze, strategize, capitalize. Our platform is everything. Infinite data, instant trading, lightning fast market insights, game-changing charts, predict with backtesting, reliable real-time data, global markets at your fingertips, all in one platform. Don't miss out. Execute your best trades now. Ready to elevate your trading? Scan that QR code or check the link in the description. So one thing that I will note, Sharif, is that we talk about trading psychology, we talk about trading systems, right, like playbooks, etc. But I think one of the fundamental pillars of trading is your technology. What technology do you have access to? Because it's going to have a great effect on your potential success in this game. And that's why it's not necessarily cheap, but again, you get what you pay for. And that's one thing that's really, really important with trading. I think those, when I first started out, those were the three pillars: trade book, psychology, technology. Technology is extremely important. If you think you're going to go up against some of the best on your phone or anything along those lines, well, again, that's where expectations need to be slightly checked. So go check out eSignal, top of the line technology, and that's exactly what you need. You're a step in the right direction if you take that. But now, Sharif,
yes, sir.
I want to talk about IBIT. Bitcoin
yes,
is starting to break out. We're starting to recover here. 53.72. Let's go. We broke out through those zones. It's unfortunate that we're not still sitting in this trade. We got stopped out right here, as you can see. And then I just wasn't paying attention in order for us to take the continuation that hold. And then now we break through some of those zones. It needed to absorb some more liquidity. And then there you go. It's starting to climb higher, but NVDA now north of 114, trading at 114.36, and then now we got Bitcoin breaking out as well too. I'm not going to say it anymore, but let's go NVDA.
Hey, speaking of NVDA, Joseph,
let's talk about
this one. Okay, so we talked about the two ways that they were looking at basically tracking these chips. This is, again, guys, a proposed bill. This might not even make it through the House, let alone get to the Senate to make it to the president's desk, obviously. But we'll have to wait and see. We'll keep you updated, obviously, on it. So again, two main ways. They're looking at tracking them, or they're looking at basically blocking them from booting up. Now, the technology apparently exists, right? Experts and lawmakers say NVIDIA already include components on the chips that could support tracking. And Google apparently has already been doing this. They track their location of their AI in-house chips, these TPUs, tensor processing units, using a technology called signal latency, which is speed of light timing, which shows proof of concept. So apparently this type of thing already exists, so it wouldn't be like something that they would have to create anew. The legislative framework, again, would give the Commerce Department 6 months to implement these new rules if passed. Again, if passed, this hasn't been passed. And the focus on chips governed by the Bureau of Industry and Security, BIS, that export controls. Joseph, go ahead, brother.
Bitcoin really breaking out. Let's go Bitcoin here. You can see that volume start to really step in, Sharif, on the lower time frame. So that's a positive sign. And you can see this engulfing type candle. So that's just showing me the aggression that we can see in this underlying asset as we breach through some of these pivot highs. And that's what we needed. In order for us to break that, you want to see that volume step in, and you want to see that momentum really, really pick up as you crack through some key resistance zones. And that was displayed perfectly here in Bitcoin. So let's see if we can continue this climb and recover some of those losses that we endured over there.
Bang. All right, let's talk a little bit here about Temu. Or it's not Temu, obviously. It's about Chinese imports into the United States. So we all know what happened on Friday. It was the end of that de minimis rule. So all the products that come in from Shein, Temu, Amazon Haul, they all came in skirting tariffs because there was a provision that allowed these products under $880 to not pay tariffs. That ended on Friday. And as a result, Temu has stopped shipping directly from China to U.S. customers. We're Canadian, we still get it. Only U.S.-based warehouses now are apparently being used for inventory, and basically those are the only ones showing up on the app. Items formerly shipped from China now appear on the app as out of stock for U.S. Customers as well. Only, excuse me. Why it matters, obviously. So this ends the de minimis rule, duty-free on items under $800. Now 90% of tariffs, or about $75 an item, are 90% tariffs, excuse me, or about $75 an item, are applied to these Chinese imports, which is rising to about $150 in June of this year. So starting out at 75 and then doubling. We're talking about these de minimis rules. Temu briefly listed that 130 to 150% import charge last week, but before they just halted shipments altogether. And we've seen this before. Now, Temu is now courting U.S. sellers to kind of restock its platform. So they're really actually trying to maintain their presence in the U.S., likely though at higher costs. Let's just call a spade a spade. Things coming out of China are just going to be more than the U.S. Prices remain unchanged for now, according to the company. Shein has also raised prices, and Shein has also added that tariff disclosure on their app. What Amazon refused to do, Amazon Haul, which is the next point here, also relied on low-cost China shipping, is affected too. They briefly announced last week that they were looking at putting that tariff information, but obviously they raised the ire of the White House and they backed out on that. Last one here, Apple, guys, looking to release or shake up their iPhone release strategy from 2026 onward. That doesn't apply to the iPhone 17 expected in September of this year. This will apply to the 18, so in the fall of 2026. So the iPhone 18 Pro and Pro Max will be a regular fall 2026 launch as usual. However, the 18, not the 18 Pro, the 18 Slim, and the 18E, all expected to be a spring 2027 release. So you're going to get a big or the more expensive iPhones released in the fall, and then the cheaper iPhones are going to be released in the spring. The foldable iPhone that we've been hearing a lot about could come alongside the Pro models in the fall of 26, but we have nothing about that so far. So this ends Apple's long-standing tradition, obviously, of unveiling all their iPhone models in each September since basically the iPhone 5. They've been doing that. We're going to pause for a second. Adira has breaking news.
Trump is talking nothing market related right now. He's just announcing that Washington will be hosting the 2027 NFL draft. But worth noting that he is currently making some comments. So keep an eye on the market here as Donald Trump begins to speak. Back to you.
Thank you for that. Do you have anything to say
Yeah,
before I went on?
See how quiet Apple has now been regarding the Apple Intelligence?
Absolutely.
Really, really quiet.
I think that's the right move. I don't want to hear a peep out of them until they have it ready. That was the biggest botched product launch release ever I've seen from Apple. It was hideous, well, right? So very disappointing.
You know what Steve Jobs' motto was back then?
Go ahead.
He said you don't release anything until it's absolutely ready.
I mean, have we ever seen anything else from Apple? It was an outlier and quite pathetic. Yeah, I mean, well, heads rolled. We talked about this. I hate to say this, but somebody had to lose their job. There's just way too much on the line to get this wrong and to be so confident about it, to have a marketing campaign, commercials, and they never show proof of concept. So it's not like Marquise Brownlee got the phone and was able to show you. It was all...
They didn't get any beta whatsoever. No,
so you could tell they were having trouble. Yeah. I don't want to hear anything about Apple Intelligence until it's ready.
Until Marquise reviews it, I'm not going to...
If I hear good stuff from other people, I'm going to be okay. It doesn't have to be Marquise, but I very much trust Marquise Brownlee. That's just my opinion. So why this matters, right? So again, it ends their tradition basically since iPhone 5 of releasing all their iPhones all at once, all in September. So this reflects Apple's potential shift to these staggered launches, which could be as a result of a number of reasons. One, they want to smooth out the production or their supply chain now that things can't be so heavily relying on China. It also extend the sales cycle across 2 fiscal halves. That could help them. We'll have to wait and see. And it also responds to different audience segment at different times, right? For people who want that premium device, we'll we'll talk to you in the fall. For those who are looking more for that discounted device, we'll speak to you in the spring. Some of the sporting details to support this kind of proposition is what they did with the SE model. We've seen the SE models have always launched in the spring. Also, the 16E, that came out in February. That came out of nowhere. All of a sudden, they had this new iPhone 16E that they were talking about, which we didn't hear anything about in September, October. And then the iPhone 17 series will still follow, as I mentioned at the top, the traditional September launch, but that will be the last time, according to reports, nothing verified by Apple, that will be the last time all the iPhones are kind of released all at once. Expect that to change, Joseph, in 26. We will have to see how that all works out for Apple, but obviously it's been a bit of a tougher time as of late.
Absolutely. So good reporting there, Sharif, as always. Yeah, just kind of reference back to what we got going on here, and you can see that it's honestly been no stellar of a day, but it's a positive sign, to say the least, right? Because if we're not extremely, like, you can notice that selling pressure isn't as immense as it was before, as that we've seen about a month ago or 2-3 weeks ago, whatever it may be. And this is what I want to see. If we're going to continue to climb in price, I want to see these breaths, no 2%, 3% down days, some nice sideways consolidation, some nice sideways price action, and then you get the buyers to step in and recover a little bit more. And that's kind of the game plan that I'm going off of. Anything can happen at any moment, regardless. Donald posting something on Truth Social, or a tweet putting out, or a headline. I still believe that headline sensitivity is still within these markets, and we have to be cautious about that. We don't want to be completely risk-on and carefree. We still want to monitor what we're doing and just be extremely precise, and that's kind of what I'm trying to show you guys what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm taking longs on big names, but there's a method behind the madness, essentially, right? So Neil was talking about it last week. It's like he sees me average up into trades, and exactly that. Regardless if it's swing trading, investing, or even day trading, that's what I specifically look to do. But again, I'm not just going by all means a free-for-all and just smashing buttons. As I mentioned before, there's a method behind the madness, and that's just kind of what I relayed to you guys. Am I going to be right all the time? Absolutely not. There is zero chance that I'm going to be right all the time. Quite frankly, I'm going to be wrong more often than not. But when I am right, it's our job to try to make those trades as big as possible, and I try to reflect that in my day-to-day trading and show you guys, hey, this is exactly what I'm trying to do. So yeah, we'll go through my trades on the day here, guys, to see what we got going on. Again, I'm red on the day, but again, a solid week last week, and we're just on Monday. It's a solid. Still the full week ahead of us, and I'm looking forward to it, especially if we're going to continue on the path that we have been last week. So let's get into exactly what we traded. So I took a couple attempts on Bitcoin earlier this morning, kind of just through the break, and then looking for that gap fill, and they didn't work out. That's totally fine. Start small and then build into size. That's just kind of my motto. So you can see we entered here. Once we cracked that low a day, we got out of the trade. And then I entered once again. And then I didn't see this print. I'm like, there's no way. And that's what I refer to. When you're looking to stop out, don't just put it right at the bottom of the range. Give yourself some room, because the underlyings will breathe and you will get caught in some liquidity grabs as well. And you can see that displayed almost to a T here on my IBIT trade. I get stopped out at the wick bottoms, and then it goes and does the move when I obviously wasn't sitting at my desk. I just put that stop in just in case it did break down, and sure enough, it caught that fill, that stop out fill, and then you see us move all the way from 53.32 to a high of around 53.73. So a nice 40-cent move right there that we missed out on. But that is okay. Now, SQQ. Now, when I'm referring to method behind the madness, again, you got to follow those rules and get out when you're supposed to. Did I do that here? Not necessarily, but we didn't take too big of a loss. So the trade started to work out here. I seen that short signal on the Qs, so I'm like, all right, let's grab some longs here on the SQQ, and if it starts to work out, we're going to aim for the volume-weighted average price and then north of that. But I, again, didn't follow my plan 100%, slightly greedy, waiting for that pre-market low or the pre-market high in this instance, and we didn't get it, and then we eventually got stopped out. Totally fine. We're not too worried about that. And then NVDA, a couple attempts here again. Add. and then we got stopped out here. So once the trade started working, I was waiting for this pullback to hold, and then we can break the volume weighted average price and continue to appreciate. But unfortunately, it needed to absorb some more liquidity before it decided to climb higher, and then now you can see that we're trading around 114.26. And I apologize about those dark pool wicks, but we're just hovering right around those highs of days. And I mentioned before the options chain, there is still some room to run. How those contracts were rolling over is what I was referring to last week. For the previous 2 weeks, through the teens all the way up to about 117-ish, we've seen high levels of open interest, kind of almost like earnings amounts, which is slightly alarming. But now, Shreve, this week, we've seen a fraction of those roll over, but not only that, we've seen the high levels of OI start to lift as well too. So instead of those high levels of open interest being at 116, 117, they have now been raised to about 119, 120. So that's a positive sign. That is some bullish sentiment and some bullish signals, in my opinion, that we can continue to climb to 118, 119 without too much overhead resistance in NVDA.
Appreciate that, Joseph. All right, shout out to my man there, Abu Aman Khan. He wants me to look at GPUS one more time. So look, I think this one is still in play. You're a lot closer to the highs than you are even to VWAP, let alone the lows. High of the day is 848. You're trading at around 710. Now, mind you, the 10 EMA now pointing down, the 20 EMA looking like it's it's already pointing down. What am I saying? So both moving averages pointing down now. You haven't gotten the cross between the 10 and the 20 quite yet. It looks like it's trying to hold 7, but you know, if my inclination is it likely loses that level. There is some support here, or a previous area of resistance at 7, so it could find support. But my guess is this one loses 6, it loses 7, it loses 6, and it likely makes its way at least into the volume weighted average price. Now, it may not make it all the way back into 550. That's currently where VWAP is. There's also $6, which is a very clear level of support. Look at that hammer candle that manifested at 1145, held 6 to the T, then all hell broke loose to the high side. So GPUS, I think, is still in play, but trade it carefully. Adair's at the big desk.
We have Donald Trump talking here about his proposed tariffs on the film industry. He was asked about this during this conference when he announced that Washington would be hosting the 2027 NFL draft. He said that the film industry has been decimated by other nations and that the U.S. used to make 100% of the movies. Now it's much less. So Donald Trump disappointed here by what's happening with the film industry, and he's saying that's the reason for his tariffs. The actual question had more to do with implementation, so unclear who he's going to mention that, but he does say that the U.S. will, quote, get it back to you.
Donald had his way. They'd make the Bollywood movies in America, bro. Forget about it. Donald wants everything, and USA, bro. Take it easy over there.
Yeah, I know.
Right? Take it easy,
I don't
bro.
know. That's a bit of a stretch if you ask me. Like, you gotta
I don't know what to tell
good
this guy, bro.
Foreign movies.
He's an interesting guy, Joseph. He's an interesting guy. Get it, Donald.
Get it. Google, man. Let me just bring up this on Google here, guys. Yeah, exactly. What happened to fentanyl? Like, it's not even about that anymore.
Fenty.
The film industry.
Joseph, let's talk real. Let's talk real.
Yeah.
So again, I don't think this is a conspiracy theory. I think this is bang on. Look, fentanyl kills a lot of people. We're not trying to make light of that at all.
No,
at all. And we have a problem with that here too.
I'm not denying that whatsoever.
But I think he used the fentanyl thing as a legal framework in order to institute the tariffs. The tariffs would be the competence of the legislative branch, the House and the Senate, unless it was an emergency basis that the president could do it. You can't say there's an economic emergency. Markets were at all-time high. It doesn't make sense. So we had to use an emergency power, and he blamed us for bringing fentanyl. Although there was like 3 kilograms that left Canada or something like that, and all of 2024. I don't know what the number was. It was very low. It was not like the same as Mexico.
Obviously, we're not the culprit of.
Look, he's utilizing whatever legal framework he can get his hands on, right? But I think that the fentanyl issue is a pressing issue, but he used it in order to put what he wanted so he can go around Congress.
Yeah.
That's my view on that.
Yeah, but absolutely. I mean, why would you not? If you can use that, then by all means do so. And I think it is a massive problem. We're not going to get too in depth on that because I'm sure if you guys live in major cities as well, you can see how it's affected kind of just even the day-to-day operations. Celine doesn't even like going outside, really. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I understand that. We're going to see what Adair is up to, guys, and then we're going to talk about Google because we're continuing to climb.
Keep an eye on MSOS popping to the upside here. I'm seeing a headline come across here, an X from, you guessed it, Marijuana Moment. According to this headline, Pennsylvania lawmakers are approving a bill to legalize marijuana just one day after it was introduced. Again, not a lot of details, but this headline is what's circulating right now, and it is what's moving MSOS to the upside. Back to you.
Ooh, there it is again. Yeah, this is something I didn't expect, Joseph.
MSOS?
Yeah, I mean, we've been seeing a lot of this lately. I just didn't expect the Trump administration or the Republicans at this point to really be focusing on weed, but this is what we keep getting. We keep getting information that they are looking at the declassification. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, if they do decide to legalize it, Aurora Cannabis, 1,300 incoming. Let's go. That's exactly what we need there, Sharif.
So this guy called us Chinadians. What, bro? Huh?
Yeah.
Say it again, Katina man.
1,800.
Yeah. Or you're talking about ACB. Yes, it's okay, bro.
Yeah.
It is what it is, bro. Yes, it is what it is. Yeah, I just didn't expect this. But yeah, nice breakout there by MSOS to the high side. Still, you know, definitely within, what's this day's price action? The day that we got the news, that was the 29th. It ended up running again on the 30th, gave up the ghost a little bit on the 1st, did absolutely nothing on the 2nd, and here we are on the 5th, breaking out again. We're above 3, but for how long? I mean, we were basically using $3 all day as resistance. There was only one time we were above $3, and it was right at 9:30, the implied balance high, and then we dropped after that. So MSOS, you know, not really much for me to say about this. When we get federal legalization in the United States, then we can have a talk. But I'm sick of waiting for it, you know, and trying to guess whether or not that's going to happen. So yeah, I really don't have much else to say about marijuana and the United States. It's been legal here for, I don't know, what are we going on, 7 years now?
Something like that.
2018, right?
I think so.
But let's be honest, before that, they were opening up the stores that weren't legal, and the cops weren't shutting them down. They just left them there because they're like, okay, whatever.
They would shut them down. They would raid them, and then obviously like a week later, they would just open up 2 doors down.
They would raid them like a year in or 6 months after operating.
2 doors down,
they'd open up again.
The exact same.
Exactly.
Same thing.
This has been a nothing burger for us for a long time, and
I mean that run is over, man. We had fun with that.
Yeah.
I did personally with the marijuana stocks, but until the states legalize it, I think it's just those specific subsector is just going to continue to move in the direction that it is. So I don't see the Republicans legalizing it whatsoever. But you never know.
I didn't think it was going to be on their top priority.
Maybe just like downgrade the class of it. Like it shouldn't be in the likes of like, you know what I mean?
Here's the thing. They're looking for money everywhere they can get it, right? So that's going to be tax money right there. Imports on foreign grown weed.
You guys want the Canadian
sales
weed?
tax or weed tax or whatever you want to call it. That's going to, I don't know how much that moves the needle.
25% tariffs on Canadian weed.
Well, yeah, I think they could probably make more of the road. They have better climate than us, way better the climate than us, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, get it, weed. So I don't know. Maybe this is part of their focus. You know, they're trying to shore up the balance sheets. We're doing it with tariffs. We're doing it with cuts. Can we do it with some more taxes on a new product, a new legalized
again,
product?
like you said, I don't know how much that moves the needle. I don't know how much it's moved the needle here. I'm pretty sure it's cost us money.
I don't think it's moved the needle at all, bro.
No, exactly. So yeah,
quite honest with you.
Yeah, it's just not that big.
That's rescheduling in the U.S. Yeah, look, brother, DEFCON 1, it doesn't have to be a rescheduling. There can be federal legalization. Currently, we are talking about rescheduling, so it's not in the same category as fentanyl and gets dropped down. I get that. That's what we're talking about, but that's not the only eventuality. It's not the only possibility. And it doesn't move the needle dollar-wise, right? Because in order to tax it, you need it at retail, right? And you need it federally in order to kind of make the money that you're looking for. And I know that's what he's looking for. He's certainly certainly looking to shore up the balance sheet. Whether or not he wants it so much that he legalizes marijuana, or the Republicans, that is, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, there's really no point in guessing. But I want to point out one thing here, Joseph. We got to throw it to the big kahunas because we're overtime. IMMP, guys, IMMP just took out the day high right there at 245. It's 248 right now. It's a fantastic look. It looks like it may be working into that 250 area. It's up a respectable over 44% right now. So keep your eye on this one. If GPUS gives up the ghost and you're looking for a small cap gapper to trade in the afternoon. But for Joseph and I at the moment, guys, we will see you tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Thank you very much. Not only the professional look, it's also the professional throw for Joseph and I. That's like what they do on the news. It's like for Brendan, Sean, and
Right. And I'm Neil Roberts.
I'm Neil Roberts.